This critical EDH video is sponsored by Dootloot, your go-to vendor for non-English foils, signed and altered cards, reserve list staples, judge promos, and secret layers. Dootloot has cards for every budget, starting at just $5. It's a simple, no-nonsense card feed updated weekly, with monthly giveaways and free tokens in every order. Join the over 6,000 members on Discord and follow on Instagram at DootlootIG.
What is up, everyone? We are here with the man, the myth, the legend himself, the end boss of Shiny Cardboard, I think. And we're going to learn all about collecting artist proofs today. And it's a realm that I just now ordered my very first one, so I'm very new to it, but I'm very fascinated by it. And whenever like someone posts bling in our Discord, and then Corey posts his and Moggs everyone in existence, I think the people are very curious. So I'll turn it over to you, man. We're really, really glad you're here.
Okay, so now I have to ask, what was the first proof you bought? Now that
It's a foil voice, and I'm
Voice of Victory.
doing, yeah, the showcase voice victory, and he's doing like the pen sketch of Stevie Ray Vaughan on the back.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Kevin Glenn's awesome. That was fun fact. I guess I was planning on getting to this later, but
yeah.
I was the first person to buy a proof from Kevin Glenn's, right?
Wait,
So my
really?
yeah, my Voice of Victory was the first proof he ever sold, and I don't know if it's visible, but there's a nice little 1 out of 50 serialization in the guitar.
It's
So that was
hilarious to me that your proof is the one I've seen on the internet, and I didn't even realize that was yours.
That was mine.
Um,
Yeah. Well, my direction to him on that one was because I was re-exploring my grunge phase, and I was
yeah,
listening to a lot of like Audio Slave and just like Chris Cornell music. I'm like, hey, just make the figure male and like in the likeness of Chris Cornell. If you
sure.
don't know who he is, here's some internet photos.
Sure.
He sorted it that way, and then I recommended to him like, hey, one thing that some artists do, you don't have to, but like aside
Yep.
from signing the front, like a lot of artists serialize their cards, like 1 out of 50,
Yep.
2 out of 50, etc. And then in the little guitar, you're at 1 out of 50. I'm like, yes, there we
That's
go.
so sick, dude.
That's a great one to start with. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
thanks for having me on. I guess a little bit about myself. So I'm not a good cEDH player. I just collect pretty cardboard, and like that compensates.
Yep.
But I've been collecting proofs for I think almost 2 years now.
Okay.
I've been collecting and playing Magic. God knows, like I think Eighth Edition was the first set I actually got a
Okay.
pack from, but I didn't really start playing until like I want to say Rise of the Eldrazi when I was
Okay.
like in summer camp. That was the big like this is like way back when elementary school, middle school. That was the big
Okay.
set going around, and everyone would just play Magic in summer camp. So that was the first I bought cards from, and the Natural Evolution was just sort of from there.
Yeah.
But the proof stuff really started for me when I actually got into playing cEDH.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, that was like the gateway drug.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, I played Nadu. That was my first cEDH
Sure.
deck,
Yep.
which, is probably a terrible thing to say. But here we
May he
are.
rest in pieces.
May you
Yeah.
rest in peace. Yeah, just not everyone's favorite commander, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I played Cart Clan Eggs in Modern, and Nadu was just that as a Simic
Sure.
commander. So I
Yeah.
kind of liked that. But naturally, the first cEDH event I played in was SCGCon Baltimore in like 2024. And I'm like, all right, I just want to play Nadu. I don't want to play anything else. Like, this is
Sure.
my deck. Naturally, the thing you want to do, especially if you play Commander, and this is true regardless of whether you play competitively, casually, or otherwise, right? You want to use your deck as a form of self-expression. Like, there's more avenues to do that in Commander than any other format.
For sure.
I think what's interesting about cEDH is, well, when you're playing Commander competitively, you don't necessarily have the option because there's a meta to like
Sure.
play your goofy pet commander and your goofy pet cards and do the thing. You have to play in a way that respects the meta that you're sitting in. So the
Sure.
opportunity for self-expression goes down a little bit in cEDH, and the way
Yep.
you can compensate for that, and Duke Loot has probably shown us this more than anything, is you
Yeah.
buy your foreign foils, you buy your masterpieces.
Yep.
And he really, I think, shed a good light on just how big the market is for those types of cards, particularly in cEDH, right?
Yeah, I think you raise a phenomenal point around the self-expression front because I think like as someone who got into Magic very, very late, I like grew up playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon,
Yep.
but then I didn't play any TCGs until a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And it was Buddy got me into Magic because he was like, I'm trying to find more ways to spend time with my friends that doesn't involve the internet. And it was
Yep.
between this and Warhammer. And I decided this was safer for our wallets.
Little did
And
we
now
know.
fast forward, and I look at my deck and I'm like, brother, this was not safe for the wallet at all, actually. Um, but there's this really addictive, for me at least, aspect of going from like casual commander into cEDH, exactly what you said. I want like to communicate some of the things that I care about and am interested in through my card choices. So was it
Yeah.
like, did you start with, I think you had posted yesterday in Discord, like the timeline, right? It was like proxies, real cards, foils, foreign
Yeah,
foils.
that was like one of the things I wrote out. So for me, like I've been collecting for so long. When I built cEDH Nadu, I had no proxies. I just
Yep.
had like cards, which was great, right? If you want to play a deck at an SCG con,
Yeah,
asterisk,
indeed.
you
Yeah.
have to. You can't play with proxies.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, there's that natural evolution of, especially if you're like new to cEDH and you've just been playing like 60 card limited or even just Arena. Like plenty
Yeah.
of people now, the channel for getting into Magic is
Right.
like the digital space through Arena. So like a lot of people come into the game without like owning physical cards for a decent amount of time.
Yep.
But yeah, like if you start cEDH, there's like you go to proxies and they're like, okay, I want to not proxy my deck. I want the real
Yeah.
stuff. You get the real cards and you're like, well, now I want the foil, like pretty versions of my real
Yeah.
cards. Then there's like what Doot Loot showed or Jack,
Yep.
right? Like, oh, the foreign foil market is like
Yeah.
its own animal, right? So maybe you want to go the foreign foil route. You have a preferred language, something to
Yep.
usually Japanese, something to that effect.
Yep.
And then like there's adjacent to that like signed cards, which a lot of people love going that avenue, right? Like I want
Yep.
to get the artist to sign my cards because it's cheap, right? I already own these. I'm at an
Yep.
SCG con. I'm at like Eternal Weekend, or even in the case of Steel City, they had artists there, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to go just sit down with some of the artists and get like my Rob Alexander dual land signed. I want to get my
Yeah.
demonic consultation signed. And then like, Winona Nelson who did Timna, she travels to a lot of events. I think she by comparison to a lot of artists is very cognizant of the fact that
Yeah.
there's a specific audience for her most popular Magic card and goes to the places that those
Yeah.
customers are at.
That's
So
sick.
that's like the natural evolution. And then in the case of like niche, very niche, there's like the miscut NFC scene,
Yep.
which like I would almost argue that like that's not below proofs, that's like proof adjacent. It's the
Yep.
same idea of like these are really hard to find.
Yep.
Still function as the card I want them to, but they're like serialized in their own indirect
Yeah.
way. And then there's alters and then there's proofs, right?
Yep.
So that's sort of the evolution.
And did you like kind of did you walk through that evolution or did you just go like straight to the deep end?
I went straight to the deep end
Yeah, because you
because
had the cards. Yeah, that's right.
I had the cards, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, for me, my back to the Nadu conversation, I was like,
Yeah.
I want a proof of Nadu. I want a proof of this
Right.
goofy commander that like
Yeah.
plagues the tables of casual
Sure.
and CH players alike. So that like led me to the artist proof Discord, and it wasn't
Yep.
like I had to search hard to find it. My assumption was like, where would I have to go to find like an artist proof Nadu directly to the artist? So I Googled the artist, which it was Gossip Goblin, and I have the proof here, right? This is like
Yeah.
the first artist proof I spent money on. But
Sick.
like I went directly to the artist and I'm like, oh, he's sold out. So he
Yep.
was out. So I'm like, okay, I don't have a Facebook, but I need to go to the secondary market to purchase this.
Yep.
And I've been on Discord long enough since like 2016 where like I just know, much like Facebook, where there's a Facebook group for
Yeah.
everything, there's a Discord for everything.
For
So I
sure.
think I just Googled artist proof Discord and I'm like, well, that one has the most like members, so that's probably it. And
Sure.
I went and did a market post there and I was like, hey, I play Nadu and cEDH. Like, I don't want to flip this card. I know that it's sold out. Like, I'm willing to pay a little bit more than what the artist was asking.
Yep.
I think at the time he wanted $100 for his foil Nadu
Sure.
proofs. And I'm like, I'm willing to pay more than like what the artist was charging. I just like don't want to be taken advantage of.
Sure.
But if anyone's trying to like sell a Nadu proof, let me know. And it was an agent that reached out to me and he's like, hey, like I own a foil and non-foil Nadu. Like I'm not attached to them. Like if you sound like you just want to have like a
Yeah.
proof of your commander, which is where it starts.
Yeah. Of course.
And he's like, just make me an offer. And I'm like, that was where I'm like, I have no clue what this has to be because the market is
Yeah.
so niche. It's sold out, but at the same time, like, I don't want to like give him an offer that's a low ball and just turns him away. So I think I
Yep.
offered like $200, which I still in my mind I thought was like probably on the low end.
Yep.
And he said, you know what? Yeah, that's good. Like
Sure.
you
Yeah.
you're gonna play with it. Like I know you're not flipping it. Like
Yeah.
good for me. So that was really where it
Yeah.
started. And then smart people would say, cool, I have a proof of my commander. This seems like a good, natural, and financially
Yeah.
responsible stopping point. And I go, well, Nadu got banned. I got to go through this process again. And
Yes.
then and then in the interim between when Nadu got banned and when I landed on my new main deck, it was like I'm just gonna buy like proofs of the commanders I think I might play
Sure.
and go from there, right? So like I bought Rograk and Silas, which like
Yep.
those are both sold out now. I bought Tayum. I bought like the last Tayum that Sam Burley had. I was like,
Yep.
what are all these decks that like make me feel like I'm playing Nadu, like either play
Yeah.
really fast and not
Yeah.
caring about the table, or
Yep.
doing esoteric dirtily stuff and not care
Yep.
about the table. So I
Yep.
was like originally like, oh, I'll just pick up Rogsai and Nadu and like Rogsai and Tayum maybe. And then
Yep.
my buddy was like, oh, just play Tim the Thras because like
Yeah.
it does the same thing that Nadu does. It draws cards and makes mana just a little bit more fairly, and you don't play with
Yeah.
bad cards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And then that just became its own project in and of
Yep.
itself.
And so wow, that's been since the bans, right? So coming
Yeah,
up
that's been since
on
September.
okay.
It's almost 2 years,
Um,
right? Well, I guess a year and a half, I guess, at this point, right? Maybe a
yeah.
little less.
And what was the so you started on the like, okay, I'm gonna get a proof of my commander, and then is was it just kind of a slippery slope from there where you're like, okay, now I want my five favorite cards in the deck, or did you have like specific pieces you were looking
Yes.
for? Okay.
Yes. So when I built Tim the Thras, I was like, man, Devoted Druid is a drug. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
gotta have the Devoted Druid combo stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, like Hazel's Brewmaster. And like this will get into like something we can talk about later, like kind of
Yeah.
weird things to be aware of in the proof community. But like
Yep.
the artist that did Hazel's Brewmaster is an English gentleman named Simon Dominic, and he's
Okay.
awesome. He's done a lot of really cool stuff throughout the years. He did I believe the original Ragavan art for
Oh,
Modern
sick.
Yeah, like he's done a lot of really notable stuff.
Yep.
He does unfortunately underprices proofs in my opinion, and like
Yep.
this isn't a slight on him. But there are artists, and he's a good example of one. Darkin is another good example. Darkin did like Kazura no Kima. He did one
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
chain arts. He did Hidden Strings. He did Infernal Plunge.
Yep.
He did a couple of the masterpiece fetches. Like these are individuals that obviously their main source of income is not proofs for Magic the Gathering, and
Yeah.
that's the case for all these artists. But
Sure.
for them, selling proofs is kind of a afterthought. They don't really do a lot of commissions unless they really feel like it. And even then, like Simon Dominic doesn't do commissions. He'll just be like, I happen to sketch like five cards this weekend, and he'll throw
Sure.
them on the site, right? So I think he was selling Brewmaster proofs at like €5 a piece.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
like I bought one just after I started playing Tim the Thras, which was
Yep.
not to, this isn't a Tim the Thras episode, but in my mind, like the
Yeah.
evolution of that deck, only because I know you're playing it now, but like the
Yeah.
evolution of that deck was like the bans happened, people didn't know what was valid.
Yep.
Festival of Nights was, I think, the first tournament where that deck sort of solidified itself
Yep.
as a real contender in the meta. Max Pfefferman won that.
Yep.
It was like the first like 60 plus person tournament like a week or two after the bans. And
Sure.
then Jordan won the Boyle with it, right? So like
Yep.
I was in this like this nice interval where people didn't care about Hazel's Brewmaster other than
Yeah.
like the couple people that were brewing for these events. So I think I
Yep.
bought mine for like again €5.
Yeah.
It card is sold out now. I think someone
Yeah.
posted on like Facebook a few months after the fact, like, oh, I just bought like 20 of his proofs, and I'm like, those are
Yeah.
just gonna get scalped, like, which
Yep.
sucks. But yeah, so I'm like, all right, I got my Hazel's Brewmaster. Now I got to
Yep.
find Devoted Druid, and I got the Devoted Druid from like Ultimate Masters, which was the first time the art was available in foil,
Got it.
and that was a cool experience because the guy just threw in an extra one after the
Sick.
fact. It got
Yeah.
nailed, so that was kind of cool. And then Devoted Swift Reconfiguration was the one that I was like most worried about
Yep.
because there's only one artist that did Swift, and that was Nicholas Gregory. And Nicholas Gregory doesn't go to a lot of conventions.
Yep.
He doesn't even sell proofs at a lot of the shows that he goes to. He
Yep.
signs. He
Okay.
only goes to like maybe one or two, like not even conventions, but just art shows. And occasionally he brings cards or proofs.
Sure.
But you just have to get really lucky reaching out to him through his like artist contact page. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know what happened, but like I got very lucky because to my knowledge, I
Yeah.
don't know anyone else that successfully bought a proof from him since my Swift reconfiguration,
That's crazy. So
which is
in
wild.
effect, you have the one of one. Yeah.
It's not a well, definitely. Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely like
That's crazy,
very
dude.
that one's very special. Like that one's
Yeah.
huge. So that was like, okay, I have the Devoted Druid combo,
Yep.
and it's like, okay, well, while I'm buying the Devoted Druid combo. Let's think about the Thassa's Oracle, Demonic Consultation,
Sure.
Think Cat combo.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, while we're doing that, let's think about like all the cool tutors that the deck plays. And it just became this unfortunate
Yep.
financial project in and of itself.
And are you at like complete for that now? Are you all 100 out of 100 are approved?
I mean, so this will kind of a good piece of information for new proof buyers. So
Yeah.
for Universes Beyond cards, so this would be like Avatar, this would be Lord of the Rings. I don't know the contractual nature of how commissioned art that Wizards does with freelance artists works for Universes Beyond specifically, but the way
Okay.
it typically works and the reason artists typically get proofs is because they retain some amount of rights to the art they provide, as
I
long as
see.
it's to a Wizards of the Coast set for a Wizards of the Coast product, right? So that's why you'll see artists like do Kickstarters for selling playmats with magic art on them. The artists are completely within their rights to do that. They don't get
Yep.
paid a ton per card they commission. I think according to Donato Giancola, former Magic artist, there's only been a one-time price increase in what
Yeah.
artists get compensated for each commission. So it's not tracked with inflation particularly well. But the benefit is,
Yeah.
well, you can sell playmats with your art, you can sell deck boxes with your art, you
Sure.
can sell sleeves, and you get proofs. So you have
Yep.
other revenue generating opportunities outside of the one-time fee. And if you go to the Artists per Discord, a lot of the artists that interact in that space,
Yep.
Bruce Bernizzi is like a really active participant, the guy that did Mox Amber. He'll tell you
Yep.
like a lot of artists will tell you like, look, just having your name on a Magic the Gathering card is like a career milestone.
Yeah.
The price they pay you for that is secondary, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So a lot of the Universes Beyond cards I can't get proofs of. So like I can't get Lotho. I
Sure.
can't get, and it's because again, Wizards of the Coast doesn't own the rights
I
to
see.
those
Yeah.
characters and those cards. They license them. So when the artists are commissioning work, it's under that licensure. So they don't get proofs of those.
That's fascinating. That is a really good thing for people to know.
So which is like a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because
Yeah.
like I was playing the One Ring once upon a time, and I don't want to think about what a One Ring proof would have run me.
Oh
Uh,
man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, it does mean like, yeah, I can't get like I'm looking at my list now. I
Yep.
categorize my Moxfield list based on like, do I own this as an artist proof? Is it
Sure.
something I'm
Yeah.
buying? Right? But like, I think it's Delighted Halfling, Lotho, Orcish Bowmasters, Cabbage Man, and
Yep.
Wanshi are all cards where there aren't proofs available.
I see.
So I can't get proofs for those. So it's never going to be 100 out of 100.
Yep.
There are cards where I'm not even going to try. Like I'll find an
Sure.
alternative. Like so, like Gaia's Cradle. I'm good.
Yeah, for sure.
Assigned Judge foil is what I have. There's
Yep.
no proofs for foils back from that era, so the Judge
Sure.
foils don't have proofs. So I'm like,
Okay.
there's no proof of this to begin with, so I won't need
Yeah.
one. I'll just have this Judge promo.
Yep.
Mox Diamond, I have the From the Vault one, which I didn't pay. That was a fun fact. So when I was in
Yeah.
middle school, my game store was selling those, and it was one per customer. And
Yeah.
I told my mom while I'm in school, here's like $40. Please go stand in line at like quarterstaff games in Burlington, Vermont, and like make sure you can get like one
Yeah.
of these. So I've had that from the vault like for ages, but that
That's
Mox
awesome.
didn't get proofs. So I'm not
Okay.
trying to prove that.
Yep.
Survival of the Fittest, not going to try, but there's a Judge
Yep.
promo with art that doesn't have proofs. So at some point I'll upgrade to that.
Yep.
The one that I'm not holding out hope for that I could theoretically there are proofs that exist is Lotus Petal.
Okay. Yep.
Lotus Petal has a really complicated history. The original artist, April Lee, sold only a handful of her proofs over the
Okay.
course of the time that she's been involved with the game. She's only done 3 cards in the game. They're all
Yep.
bangers though, like Allure and Intuition and Lotus Petal.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but my understanding, and I don't know the history of this perfectly, was that through a combination of personal health problems and I think some negative signing experiences, she's
Yep.
just sort of stepped away. She's been unreachable since COVID, which
I
is a
see.
shame because Lotus Petal has been reprinted at least 5 times since
Yeah.
COVID, but they
Yep.
always use her artwork.
Yep.
And then the Masterpiece series Lotus Petal sold out long ago.
Okay.
I think the last comp I've seen was someone paid $4,000 for a blank Masterpiece series Lotus Petal and got it painted. And then another
Yep.
individual that I know personally bought a blank Tempest Lotus Petal that happened to be in circulation.
Yep.
Again, April Lee, Tempest, that art has been printed a million times. That was
Yep.
$2,500. So
Holy.
unless they're, which like I'm not going to do that at that rarity.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's unrealistic, especially when it's a card that can be reprinted. So like
Yep.
Lotus Petal, I'm hoping that magically I wake up one day and it gets printed
Yep.
with like new artwork that's not April-y and it's not like a Universes Beyond
Uh,
product.
Chaos Emerald. Yeah.
Oh, that irritated me so much. That irritated
Yeah.
me as much as seeing Mental Misstep reprinted in like TMNT because now
Oh,
there's no
dude, that card's so ugly.
it's
It's
so bad. But and the worst
Yep.
part is the story for Mental Misstep is that the art has mostly been done by one artist, Erica
Okay.
Yang, and the story behind that is all the proofs for her stuff, only up to like maybe the past few months,
Yep.
went to a corporate office that was not hers or for
Sure.
whom she worked for at the time in China, or they got lost. So
Yeah.
there's a million like mental misstep proofs that she just doesn't have, and they're in some office building in China collecting dust,
That's
which is a
crazy, dude.
tragedy. And then Ori
Yep.
Tour, who did the Secret Layer mental misstep, I've been able to make contact with. He's
Yep.
really apprehensive about like selling proofs over mail. I think he's just, to my understanding, A, he doesn't have the time for it, and B, I don't think he's comfortable with managing it on his own. So the
Yep.
last communication I've heard from him was he was thinking about trying to work through an artist, but I've
Yep.
heard no update since
Okay.
then. So the
Yep.
cards that I'm missing to, because I'm sorry if I ramble, but
Oh no,
like
dude, this is fantastic.
Avacyn's Pilgrim,
Yep.
Fairy Mastermind, Mental Misstep, Pact of Negation, Savannah, Underground Sea, Windswept Heath.
Okay.
Those are the seven that I think are realistic to obtain that
Yep.
are still out there.
Yep.
Um, Pact of Negation, I'm just waiting for Jason Chan to open up new commissions for this year, which Mountain
Yep.
Mage, who's an agent that handles mostly signed cards, also
Okay.
represents a lot of artists.
Got
So
it.
there'll be an opportunity for the like future sight foil version to become available.
Yep.
Fairy Mastermind, Joshua Raphael like keeps
Yeah.
saying, I'll get around to it. I'll get
Yeah.
around to it. He's just so busy, and I think it's
Yep.
hard for him to find a window to take on commissions for that card.
Yep.
Windswept Heath, I've made contact with the Masterpiece artist from Original
Yep.
Zendikar.
Oh
She
well.
has she has a few of them left. Because of and now this will change, thankfully, as of today, but because the tariffs were introduced back in
Sure.
like the summer, she changed her mind from selling me them until she could figure out like, or selling me one until she could figure out how it worked for
Oh,
her country.
sure.
And then by the time DHL, which was basically the best way to ship
Yep.
internationally, was sort of figured out, she said, my workload is like too big. Talk to me again in the spring.
Yeah.
So Windswept Heath, I'm confident about. Pact of Negation, I'm confident about. Avacyn's Pilgrim, I'm working on that. Mark Zug did not get proofs for his game, his like promo full art
Oh,
Avacyn,
sure. Yeah.
which is like a tragedy.
Yeah.
Because I was like the two other artists, Jana Schwimmer, is it Jana Schwimmer? I'm gonna mispronounce her name, and
Sure.
Johannes Voss,
Yep.
just are really hard to get in contact with, and just generally don't sell proofs.
Got it.
Although I've made contact with Jana, so I'm hoping to maybe figure something out through that way.
Yep.
And then the Savannah and Underground Sea are like actually the easiest proofs to figure out
Interesting.
because artists from Magic 30 got proofs for those cards,
Oh, okay. Cool.
which is crazy. So they're all
Yeah.
the reserve list cards from Alpha Beta Unlimited got a fresh round of proofs for a fake Magic set, which is the biggest irony on earth.
Which is so for people who don't know, because you play fairly often in SCG cons, right?
I do,
Uh,
yeah.
they are considered proxies for SCG purposes, right? So you can't actually play with proofs in those tournaments,
Nope.
uh, which is hysterical because
They're official
uh,
Magic the Gathering cards, yeah.
yeah, just not in that. So are they the 30th anniversary duels? Are they the 30th printings of them, or are they the original arts? And like,
Let me find one. Hold on.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good example as any. So this is Tundra.
yep.
So
Okay,
this is
cool.
just Premier Force. I like the modern card frame, to be
Yep,
honest. The saturation looks better. I
yep,
like the idea of it in like it looks funny in a modern card frame. A lot of people hate it. I love it. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just a proof of what the Tundra
yep,
would have looked like
cool.
if you were to get it in one of those lovely Magic $30,000 booster packs or
Yeah, of
whatever,
course, that we all
right?
know and loved. Yeah,
That we all know and love. But the artist got a fresh round of proofs, and Rob Alexander still has his because he doesn't sell them individually. You have to buy it as a playset. So
very cool.
I've been saving up or setting aside some funds for that when
Yep,
SCG Con Richmond rolls around next month, I'll
yep,
just pick up his dual set. And then I'll have
very
the
cool.
Savannah and the Tundra. Or the Savannah and the Underground Sea.
Yeah, yeah. I just saw. circulating around. There was the Underground Sea proof that had a full painting on the back of like the sunset over this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, so cool.
Well, there's a buddy of mine in the AP Discord that I think this past year he
Mm.
completed his revised set of original dual lands for APs. So he's got
Yeah,
AP all the revised edition dual lands, which is
that's crazy.
sick. It's absolutely sick. And now he's trying to get the ones that aren't painted. So that'll
Okay,
be a separate challenge altogether.
so for those like this was kind of apparent in the way you just described it, but for those who are curious about getting into collecting APs, or even like you said, just want to start off the way that you did and have their commander as an AP,
Mhm.
it sounds like a lot of this is manual, right? It's a lot of tracking down artists, reaching out to artists,
Very
corresponding
manual.
with their agents. So like, do you have any tips and tricks for people who are trying to get into that realm?
Yeah, so like realistically, and I think I kind of made a little list here, right? There are basically three ways you can get artist proofs, and like two of them are really easy. One of them is where things get a little murky, but
Okay.
the two easiest ways are to go directly through the artists or to go through agents of the artists.
Yeah.
And the artists themselves are always where you should try first, to be perfectly honest. And it's more out of respect than anything. Like you
Sure.
should always try to buy direct from the artists when you can
Yep.
because ultimately this is supporting the work they do, which you're consuming anyway. So
Yep.
I think that's a general, and you're realistically going to get them at the best price from that primary market source.
Yep.
So for proofs, first thing you should always do, look at the card, look at the artist,
Yeah.
see if the artist has available contact info. A lot of artists have like ArtStation accounts that
Yep.
they show their portfolio on, and usually on ArtStation you can find like contact info. And the
Yep.
idea is like typically this is for like employment opportunities.
Sure.
But you
Yeah.
can email them and ask like, hey, are you doing selling proofs? Are you taking commissions? And there's a right and wrong way to ask that question.
Sure.
But that's a typical way that like a lot of artists that don't have like online stores, you could probably just find their email. There's a website called MTG Artist Connection.
Yep.
It's maintained as a project of someone in the proof Discord, so it's not like
Yep.
updated every single day, but
Sure.
as the individual goes in and sort of works on their project, they update a lot of like artist contact info. So you could go to
Okay.
MTG Artist Connection, search the artist's name, and it will pop up with some information about like examples of their signature, which is very important for
Yep.
authenticity's sake. And then also if they have contact info, and if that contact info is like email, Facebook, Instagram, or if they
Yep.
work through agents, and it will tell you who the agent is.
Okay. Very cool.
So that's one way you could do it. Sometimes artists, and a lot of this is the case, a lot of artists have their own websites or their own Etsy sites. That's a very
Yep.
common like channel for artists to sell their proofs. So like the Duras, they have their own Etsy store. Matt Stewart has his own Etsy store. Matt Stewart, who did like the recent Huxing Squelcher printing, the
Yeah.
non-showcase one.
Yep.
Scott Murphy, who did the art for Opposition Agent,
Yep.
just as far as like popular cEDH cards go, right?
Sure.
He has his own Etsy store. So you can usually go through like those channels. Sometimes artists just have their own like web store.
Yep.
So as long as you can validate that the artist store you went to is in fact the artist in question,
Sure.
usually you can reach out to them there or buy directly from the storefront themselves.
Very
So
cool.
that's the primary way you should probably start.
Sure.
If that doesn't work, or if the artist isn't selling cards on their site, you could always investigate, hey, do they have an agent? My cat just jumped up on here. Hey,
All
buddy.
good.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
buddy.
I know. She's a sweetheart. But you can usually investigate whether or not they have an agent. In the proof community, a lot of the agents that also handle signed cards, again, there's
Yep.
kind of an intersection there, also happen to handle a fair amount of artists. So
Yep.
the two like big signing services that people would be familiar with are probably Mountain Mage.
Yep.
Also, Matt Schneider is the gentleman's name that runs that service. He handles a lot of signing opportunities and a lot of proxy signing services for
Sure.
like that's his big business is a proxy signing service for a lot of artists. A lot of the artists who he represents and offers signing opportunities for, he also handles proofs for. So like
Cool.
Jason Chan is a good example. Whoever the artist was that did Wernog,
Oh, sure.
Diego Gisbert, or Gisbart, I believe is the artist's name.
Hmm.
Like there's a list of artists who he represents. And then Mark Aronowitz is the other one. He runs,
Okay.
Mark's signing and signature service, and he's been probably offering proxy signature services the longest.
Okay.
But again, he also handles, in particular, a lot of artist proofs and original art for a lot of older artists, right? So he works really closely with Greg Staples. He works exceptionally closely with Dan Frazier,
Very cool.
who obviously did the original like Moxes
Yep.
and all that. So he's like very heavily ingrained, for decades in this
Yep.
community. So usually, if the artists aren't selling through their website, but they sell through an agent, there's a good to fair chance that, again, Mark or Matt are who you could go through,
Okay.
and you could just Google Mark A
Yeah.
signing service, and you'll find that contact info. Typically for Mark, if you want to ask, hey, are you selling this individual's artist proofs? Don't email him, go through Facebook. Which,
Okay.
like, if
Cool.
you're like me and you don't have a Facebook, talk to your
Yeah.
friend that has a Facebook and have them like work it on your behalf. I've
Yeah.
done that a couple times. And then Matt is on Discord. There's a Discord for Mountain Mage signing service. He's super
Cool.
receptive, so you can go through him. And then less known perhaps in the intersection of like the signature and proof community, there's also a guy that's like, or the signature community and the proof community. There's an artist just, or there's an agent just in the proof community that's like really active. Awesome dude, Donnie Kaltrider.
Yeah.
And Donnie handles, and he's been very good about making really solid connections with a
Yep.
bunch of newer artists for Magic the Gathering. So like
Okay.
post COVID, there's a good chance if this artist like just only started doing art for Magic, there's a
Yeah.
good chance that Donnie is actually their representative. Like
Okay.
maybe that's a recency bias, but like Serena
Sure.
Malian that did the Ristic study,
Yeah.
the Enchanted Tales Ristic study from Wilds of Eldraine. That's like one of my favorite arts for it.
Yep.
Her proofs are managed under Donnie when she does
Got it.
open up for commissions. Uh, I think the new Devoted Druid artist,
Yep.
the showcase artist, he just announced on Instagram that Donnie is handling his proofs as well.
Cool.
It's great. So when March rolls around, I have to be on the
Yeah.
lookout for that.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so like those are the three in North America at least. Those are the
Yep.
three artist agents you're gonna like encounter that handle a lot of artists. Donnie, who you
Yep.
can find in the AP Discord and on Facebook. Mark, who you can
Okay.
find online and on Facebook,
Yep.
and Matt, who you can find, or Mountain Mage, you can find on
Yep.
Discord, Facebook, email, all pretty
Okay.
easily. Outside the US, there are
That was gonna be my next question.
yeah. Outside of the US, there
Yep.
are two artists agents I work with a fair bit. That one of them's less of a formal agent. He has a couple artists he handles proofs for, but he also arranges a lot of like artist alleys in Europe and therefore
Got
does
it.
proxy proof buying while he's there, right?
Cool.
So
Yeah.
Stefano Lari is a great resource. Stefano's in the artist proof Discord. He has a website called pugsvault.it, which is an Italian store that he owns, and he
Cool.
sells a lot of artist proofs that he's proxy bought or bought just for
Yep.
secondhand sale. Also on that website, a lot of stuff from like Jason Engel of all the
Yep.
people, interestingly enough, and
Yeah.
John Matson. There's a couple Commandeer proofs he has available
Sick.
for those of you that are now playing Commandeer.
Yeah.
But Stefano, what he'll do is he'll go into the AP Discord and he'll be like, "Hey, I'm helping out with this artist alley for like Eternal Weekend, like Europe, and I'm out in
Yep.
Amsterdam. Here's all the artists that are going to be at this event. Let me know if you want anything from them, and we'll figure it out."
Yep.
So Stefano's a great resource. Like I got my Zerta through him because Jesper Ising was at an event that he was
Very
arranged
cool.
the
Yeah.
artist alley for. Seb McKinnon is a big one. Seb McKinnon's been kind of we don't have to talk about this, but he's been kind of excommunicated from formal Magic the Gathering art commissions from Wizards of the Coast, but he's still
Okay.
a very prominent artist in the artist proof community. He
Okay.
does maybe one or two events a year, mostly in Europe.
Yep.
And, I got my goofy prismatic Piper proof from Stefano, who was
Sick. Yeah.
proxy buying in at an event in
Cool.
Europe.
Yep.
So like Stefano's a great resource. He does manage a couple artists that are Italian specifically. So like
Okay.
Matteo Bassini is a good example. He did the Ugin's Labyrinth proof, I want to say, from
Okay.
Modern Horizons 3, the showcase one, and he did the Windswept Heath from Modern Horizons 3.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't believe I think right now Matteo is only selling painted proofs occasionally through his Etsy store, and he's
Yep.
not using Stefano as formally, although they technically work in tandem.
Yep.
And then I'm trying to think. Oh no, Matteo Bassini. It wasn't Matteo Bassini that did that. Sorry, it was Samuel Bendini
Yep.
that did the Windswept Heath. Matteo Bassini
Okay.
did the new Mana Confluence
Okay.
in
I
Edge of
love,
Eternity.
dude.
That one, spaceship one, that one's
The
sick.
spaceship one is bonkers, man. It's so cool.
So Stefano manages his work as well.
Okay,
So
cool.
he's a great resource.
Yep,
Stefano's great in particular because if you need to get proofs from these really difficult to reach artists out in Europe,
yep.
he'll oftentimes be helping out with the events that allow these artists to operate and sell their work.
Okay,
So
very
he
cool.
proxy buys a lot.
Yep,
Other Another agent out in Europe, in particular
yep.
Eastern Europe, is Ilya Sherbakov. I
Okay,
believe that's how I'm pronouncing his name correctly, or Ilya S is how you could find him in the Discord. Ilya is an artist agent based, to my knowledge, in the greater St. Petersburg region, and he
got it.
handles a lot of artists from Eastern Europe.
Okay,
So a lot of Russian artists, a lot
yep,
of like artists from like Serbia, a lot of artists from like sort of those Eastern European nations.
yep.
And by the way, that's a large pool for what it's
Yeah,
worth. It's an
yeah,
enormous pool of artists.
yep,
Um, if you need any proofs from those artists, they almost all go
yep.
directly through Ilya.
Very cool.
So like, which is great, except for the fact that Russia's been under like sanction for like.
Uh-huh, yeah,
So there's been some awkwardness there, which I feel really bad because like he's honestly one of the hardest working agents and individuals in the proof community I've met.
yeah,
He The way he had to make it work was he visited Germany in December and then he
yep,
shipped all the proofs that have been on back order to
yep.
Mountain Mage, and Mountain Mage is now shipping them out to everyone in the United States.
I think Croach had a Mayhem Devil that was
Yeah,
taught in this process. Um,
yeah,
that okay,
it's
yeah,
rough. It's really
yeah.
rough, and it's unfortunate because like he handles like Valera Lutfelina, who did Enduring Vitality and like Nature's Rhythm, the showcase
Sick.
Nature's
Yeah,
Rhythm.
huge cards. Yeah.
I think Mayhem Devil, what was it? It was one of the, is it Burmanks? They're Mayhem Devil artists. This is gonna drive me crazy.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
like
remembering the name,
Dimitri.
but it's like the Darth Maul altered one.
Yes,
It's
Dmitry Burmak, that's who it is. So
yeah.
Dmitry Burmak and his, I believe his wife are both based in, if I recall, Russia, and Ilya
Okay,
handles all of their proofs.
got it.
So Ilya is completely recognized as completely like I have to get these
Yeah.
proofs to people somehow, and he's
Yep.
been making it work like exceptionally well in spite of the unfortunate circumstances. So those are
Dude.
like the five major agents where like
Okay.
you could probably get 90% or access to 90% of the proofs that are out there,
Yep.
not on the secondary market, from those five. And then the
That
third way,
yeah.
oh, sorry, continue. If you had a
No.
question, you can
Yeah,
segue
my
it.
question was going to be so that covers like North and presumably Central and South America to some degree.
Mhm.
Europe, and then we obviously have like a growing contingent of anime contributing or manga contributing artists in Japan. Is that like even
Yeah.
worth trying,
So
or are there avenues?
here's where things get really tough.
Yeah,
So in the history of the artist proof scene, there's some complications that have arisen with the Japanese or anime or Japanese artist proof,
yep.
not artist proof, but Japanese artists proof,
Okay,
sort of space.
yep,
Twofold, right? So collectible culture is a little different.
yep,
The way collectibles are sold, particularly proofs in Japan, prioritize equity.
yep,
So it's not uncommon to see, and it used to be not uncommon. Today, it's now the pretty much the only way you can get proofs from the Japanese scene.
yep.
Is a lot of artists will raffle off or
Okay, yep,
lotto off, not even proofs of your choice, but proofs of cards that they are willing to do so with through like
yep,
Tokyo MTG or Hareruya or like
yep,
a major retail outlet there. And the theory there is, hey, this gives everyone an equal opportunity to
yep,
land one of these proofs, and support the artists on their terms. It's kind of respectful. It creates a little bit of distance
yep,
between the artists and the general public. So there's a cultural norm that drives that particular
yep,
channel. The Tokyo MTG lotteries are, again, they're lotteries. So like if
yeah,
you're North American, a big problem with those lotteries is they don't ship outside of Japan if you
right,
win. So if you do win like a Tokyo MTG lottery, which you're paying a remarkable premium for those proofs versus what the English
yeah,
language or like the non-Japanese artist equivalents would be priced for.
yep,
Um, because people like anime.
yep, yep,
But like you would have to use a forwarding service, which
yep,
is its own animal. Like Tenso is a good example. They
yep,
work. I've used them. You definitely want to take your time to make sure you're setting up like a Tenso account or
yep,
like a forwarding service account accordingly. But the way those forwarding services work is you tell like Hariruya, Tokyo MTG, hey, ship this not to my North American
Yeah.
address, but to like a warehouse with
Yep.
my name, which has an address in my name, and then the
Yep.
warehouse forwards it to you and handles the international shipping component. So that's like the most common way that Japanese artist proofs are kind of distributed these days, are through
Yep.
the lotto system. Prior to that, which again, this I don't know the history of this as well. There was an agent that owned a store, and I don't mind saying it because he's vilified. He's like the arch enemy of the artist proof community, Owl
Sure.
MTG. And Owl MTG, as I understood the history,
Yep.
represented a fair bit of North American artists that were doing work in Japan, but also a lot of Japanese artists.
Got it.
And he was acting like an agent in the same capacity that like Mark or Donnie or any of these
Sure.
well-established agents would, and took tens of thousands of dollars worth of proofs and proof orders and then closed a store and never fulfilled on them.
Oh,
So there's a big like, and I joked in the artist proof server, like someone joked like this, when I asked initially when I was naive, like what is
yep.
Owl MTG? Someone's response was like one of the top 10 greatest anime betrayals of all time. But like realistically, one dude single-handedly like fractured the integrity of that market.
That's crazy.
So it's impossible and nearly impossible now to buy proofs directly from artists in Japan. It's
Okay.
pretty much solely the lotto system or
Yep.
the secondary market.
Okay.
And the secondary market for proofs in from Japanese artists is egregious
Astronomical.
in terms
Yeah.
of the markups you paid. So like I would caution you, like sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And like there's an example of this in my collection. But
Yep.
like if you can avoid it, it will save you a lot of money.
Yep.
But if you absolutely have to, your best bet is the secondary market.
Yep.
Which a lot of the time that is resellers in Japan
Yep.
selling either on eBay stores or Japanese Mercari to the United States.
Yep.
Secondhand from people in the United States that are lucky enough to own one, but understand that the premium
Yeah.
is enormous. So it's not like they're price gouging you. They know what they're selling.
Yep.
And or the lottery system.
Got it.
Like, but the
I
example from my collection,
yeah.
this will get into some nuances of buying proofs.
Yep.
Let me see if I can find it. Was like Veil of Summer is a great Magic card.
Yeah.
Veil of Summer is a terrific Magic card. Unfortunately, there are only two arts for it. One art is done by Lake Hurwitz, and this is
Yep.
again another weird exception to kind of how artist proofs are distributed.
Yep.
Lake Hurwitz is an art director. I believe
Okay.
at one point, and I don't know the whole full history of this, so someone can correct me in the comments, or someone in the artist proof Discord server will politely
Sure.
correct me. But art directors typically are forbidden to sell their proofs. It is contractually, especially if they're an art director at Wizards of the Coast, while they are art
Yep.
directors, or if they are art directors for, I believe, a competitor. I could be wrong
Yep.
on that part. They contractually cannot sell their proofs, and in many cases can't even sell their signatures.
That okay, so if they did art for a set, but they also happen to be the
Be an
director
art
of
director.
that's crazy.
So
Okay.
so Blake Hurwitz is an art director. He can't sell his Veil of Summer proofs.
Yep.
Which means the only option was the Ryu Kame
Yep.
anime proof. I
Yep.
had to buy one through Japanese Mercari, and
Yep.
it was an arm and a leg that I did not want to pay, but I had
Yep.
no choice. So like this is the Ryu
Sick.
Kami artist proof.
That's
of- So
crazy though, dude.
that is the only Japanese
Yep.
artist proof I own, and it's hopefully the only one I'll ever have to
Yep.
because it's not cheap, and it's unfortunate that like that was the only alternative art to Veil of Summer happened to be in like the market
Yeah.
where the trust is at its lowest.
I asked that question selfishly for a number of
Yeah.
reasons, but
Yeah.
specifically for I don't even know that this exists, and if it does, how astronomically difficult it would be to obtain. But the raised foil underworld breach from the manga Secret Lair is like one of my favorite printings of any card that has occurred.
Is that art? I don't know the nature of that secret layer as well. Is Oh no, I do because Molly Mendoza did the Dragon's Rage Chandler for
Yeah.
that secret
Yep.
layer. So they didn't get raised foil versions of the
Okay,
proofs. They
but
got
they do
foil
have
versions.
yeah
Foil
foil.
versions.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's we could touch on that briefly.
Yep.
The way I like to think about it is if you could get a version of this card guaranteed in a collector's booster pack,
Yep.
there's a proof of it.
Okay.
But
Yep.
if it's something like there's only serialized version of this artwork, which was the case
Yeah.
for a lot of the Praetors and like I think it was March of the Machines or
Yep.
whatever the set that followed that was,
Hmm.
where it was like the Elish Norn
Yeah.
led sagas where the serialized ones had unique arts. There are
Yep.
not proofs for those because that art only exists on the serialized card.
Sure.
Halo foils, there's no
Yep.
proofs of Halo foil cards because in the sets you could get Halo foils
Yep.
in a collector booster pack. There was a normal print sheet for just foil versions
Sure.
of those bonus cards, and you
Yep.
wouldn't get guaranteed a Halo foil in every pack.
Yep.
That's the way I think about it. There are some exceptions, but
Sure.
like raised foils, there are no proofs of.
Okay.
But normal foils, there is a proof of that. The artist has them. Good luck if they ever become available.
Yep. That was going to be my next statement there. But
I mean,
man.
realistically, like again, a lot of people follow like Tokyo MTG on like
Yep.
Instagram or Twitter. If you follow Tokyo MTG on social media accounts, they'll announce when they have lotteries,
Yep.
and you could always just peruse like, let's
Yep.
see if this card is in the lottery, and you fill out your Google Doc with
Yeah.
like, here's my top three, and if you get lucky, which like a lot of folks in the Arts Proof Discord typically do,
Yep.
like in the North American Arts Proof community typically do, like you could probably get one of those breach proofs if they
Cool.
ever become available. But if they do, it's going to be through that lottery system.
Okay. That makes sense. And that's really helpful to know because that was something I like barely dipped my toe into the water of and then was very quickly overwhelmed. So this conversation is very helpful for me for the community and for myself.
Yeah,
Um,
I almost the Japanese proof community is like its own
yep.
thing. I sort of
Yep.
like I think of it very separately from like the mainstream sort
Sure.
of proof scene because it has its own rules, it has its own norms, and it has its own premium
Yep. That makes sense.
associated with it. So yeah.
For there was one other thing I mean, there's several things I wanted to ask, but one other thing that came up as a direct result of so especially if you're buying proofs secondary market,
Yep.
and they are still blank. What is the
Mhm.
avenue for you've procured a blank proof, but you want to now have it commissioned in a particular style or in a certain
Yeah.
way to alter the
That's
backing?
very common, and like that's something I'd recommend a lot of people do if you want to just buy proofs without like going overboard. Like a
Yeah.
very reasonable strategy is, hey, buy the proof, worry about art later.
Yep.
But if the artist can be reached out to,
Yep.
you can always message them via their store web pages. Basically, through all the traditional channels, you could reach out to artists.
Yep.
You could always reach back out about, hey, I bought this proof secondhand. If I
Yep.
wanted to get art on this, like, what would the process look like? What would the reverse logistics look like?
Yep.
And if the artist is normally taking commissions anyway, that
Yep.
it's basically as easy as buying a proof itself.
Sure.
And I've done that before, right? So Winona Nelson, right?
Yep.
I just sent my Timna or one of my Timna proofs,
Yeah.
the Commander 2016 version. I just sent that out to her to get art done. So she opened her online store like briefly twice over
Yeah.
the past year, and instantly all of her commission slots sold out, and her inventory of Timnas went from like 30 to like two, and now she's
Yeah.
just completely sold out.
Yep.
I think between that and like the Land Go Open, like the Timna proof availability completely
Yeah.
tanked. But like I reached out to her and said, "Hey, like I have a Timna proof because I wanted to have one and not worry
Yeah.
about it later. But like, I'm not ready to buy, spend the hundreds of
Yep.
dollars on a painted commission yet. But now I'm like, okay, I need to get this painted. So I emailed her, I think a few months ago because I
Okay.
saw her at an art show in October, and I'm like, hey, like if I wanted to get my Timna painted, like what would I do? And she's like, email me, put artist proof in like your email signature. And when I get down through the queue that I'm working on, like I'll just
Yep.
let you know and you'll send it to me. And I
Cool.
just did. It's there, probably a couple months.
Yep.
But like that's typically how it works. You talk directly with the artist and be like, hey, I bought this. It's blank. Can I get
Yep.
art? I'm gonna have to do that with Crom at some point.
Sure.
And Aaron Miller's actually in the Artist Proof Discord, so I think
Oh, cool.
I just DM'd Aaron Miller
Yeah.
on Discord. I'm like, hey, I have a Crom. Like, if I want to get art, like, what would I do? He's like, oh, you just go to my web store and you buy one of the like painted or colored sketch commission slots, and then
Cool.
email me in a note that you're gonna send me the proof.
Okay. Cool.
And we'll go from there, which is
Yep.
great. So like the reverse logistics work nicely. A lot of the agents, like especially with like Mark, because Mark handles artists from like really far back in the game.
Yep.
You can reach out to Mark and be like, hey, I have this old like Dan Frazier proof.
Yep.
I've had it blank forever, right? In my case, like I have a Dan Frazier like Arcane Signet from the Secret Lair, which has
Yep.
been sold out for ages. And it's like, hey, like Mark, if I wanted to get like art on my Dan Frazier artist like Arcane Signet, how would I do that?
Mm.
And he'll tell you, hey, like don't send it to me now. I have a commission window coming up with him. Send it to me then by a commission window, right?
Okay.
The same avenues you could buy proofs, the artists can also be reached, or the agents can reach out on your behalf
Yeah.
about getting art on the back.
And then for like expected turnaround time, if you're, and obviously it's going to be very artist dependent, what have you found is like a reliable window to expect your commission to take, if there
It
is
depends.
one?
It depends on
Yeah.
the commission. It depends on the artist. Like
Yep.
I wish I could give you like an
Sure.
easy answer there. I would say for like if you're just doing simple sketch commissions, like pencil sketch or pen and ink sketch,
Yep.
it's pretty reasonable to see it turned around between like 1 to 2 months, right? Because it's
Okay.
just a matter of them getting around to it. It won't take them long,
Yep.
right? So like a good example of this, because again, like one of the proofs lanes that I collect, and that's
Mm.
again something we could talk about. Like if you're
Yeah.
collecting proofs, like it's good to narrow your focus a little bit on what you want to collect to save
Yep.
your wallet a little bit of money. So a lot
Sure.
of people in the AP server have like lanes is what they call them. Like this is the
Yep.
lane that I stay in for the proofs I collect to kind of narrow my focus and limit what I buy. For
Yep.
me, I'm like, well, if my lane is just my cEDH deck, like this is
Yeah.
great. But I do have a couple like side lanes, and one of them is like the Friends Forever commanders or like goofy
Sure.
partner commanders, even if I'm not playing them.
Yep.
So like I think it's Elise Roxas who's out in Poland. She did the Elmar
Yep.
art for which is like the in-universe's version of um I don't remember all the Max from Stranger Things.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's like the Sadie Sink in universe art, right?
Yeah.
As goofy as it sounds. But I reached out to her and she's like, "Yeah, I can do a sketch commission. I'll get back to you." She's like, "I locked you in. Like, this is what will cost, but like I don't know when I'll be able to get around to it." A month later, she's like,
Yep.
"Here's your proof. I'll ship it out." So like
Sick. Yeah.
for sketch commissions, like it doesn't take them long. Like if it could
Yep.
take them if it's something that an artist could do at like a con,
Yep.
they can do it. They just have to find the window to do so.
Sure.
So for sketch commissions, like 1 to 2 months is pretty reasonable.
Yep.
For more complicated commissions, like colored sketches, that can be anywhere from a few months to a year,
Yep.
especially if they work through agents, right? Sometimes the agents align when the commission windows open with when like signings for that artist would be due. So the
Yep.
artist like sends back their proofs with like the box of signed cards that need to get dispersed as well.
Yeah.
So like if you look at like Mountain Mage or like Mark Aronowitz's like signing schedule,
Hmm.
it's not uncommon to see like, hey, 6 or 7 months out, this artist is going to have like signings that are due. So
Yep.
maybe commissions will open up like 2 to 3 months beforehand. And then after the signing window happens, three or
Yep.
4 months later, they'll be shipped out. So
Okay.
that's that timetable, like anywhere between like 6 months to a year. Not unreasonable for colored sketches. Shockingly, painted stuff, the turnaround time is really quick, in part
Okay.
because you're paying a lot of money for them.
Yeah.
So it's a little higher on the batting order. Um, but again, it depends. Like I also don't own a ton of painted stuff, but like
Yep.
Winona Nelson said it would only take like a couple months,
Okay.
which is not bad for painted Timna,
Yep.
right? Rebecca Gay, who did the painted Aurora Breeze collar, which is like the crown jewel of my collection.
Yeah.
Process of getting that was painful, but when she
Yep.
actually had the time to do it, she did it in 48 hours
Oh, wow.
and then
Yeah.
shipped it out. Chris Rallis, who did Rayan and a
Yep.
lot of like really iconic proofs of
Yeah.
like partner commanders like Jessica as well and like
Sure.
Tevish. He turns around his work pretty quickly as well, to my
Okay.
understanding. But again, like he also doesn't open up for painted commissions often, but when he
Yep.
does, he typically knocks them out less than a year. That's my understanding.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really all over the place, but I would say the general rule of thumb is for like simple sketches or like
Yep.
really simple commissions, it's probably like 1 to 2 months at most.
Hmm.
Colored sketches, because they're like that weird mid-priority
Yeah.
sort of thing, usually take the longest, and painted proofs can either be really quick or like really
Sure.
slow, in my experience. Like that's the most
Yep.
polarizing. But it really depends on the
Interesting.
artist.
Sure. And then like last logistical question, and then I want to talk a little bit about lanes, and then I also want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah,
The last logistical question is like I collect it's art collecting still, but like I collect tattoos from different artists.
yeah,
And so with tattoos, it's you pay whatever X hundreds of dollars to put a deposit on your
Right.
time slot, but you don't actually pay for the tattoo until you're, wrapped up
Until you're
and
physically
leaving.
there.
Yep. So do you pay full commission up front usually, or do you just have to put a deposit down and go from there?
I've only had to do a deposit for one artist proof, and it
Okay.
was the Rebecca Gay artist proof.
Okay.
Um, Most artists, I either pay up front or pay when the job is completed,
Okay.
which is like, I mean, if you're pay when art is completed, like that is very trusting of you
Yeah, for sure.
which
Yeah.
like again, and the artists in this game are awesome because a lot
Yep.
of like it's probably 50-50 split where like I think it was like Carl Critchlow is a great example, or Critchlow. He did Chain of Vapor, and
Yep.
I asked him about, hey, like I want that Chain of Vapor artist
Yeah.
proof from MB2, and he's like, well, my commission queue time is like a year,
Yep.
but like I can set aside the proof for you if you're okay with that, and when it gets
Yep.
around to it, like we'll go through with the project.
Yep.
And again, he's holding the proof for an
Yep.
entire year in my name without me putting any money down. And then he says,
Dude.
"Hey, it's your turn in the queue. Are you
Yep.
still okay with this?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." Painted it, or not, I guess, yeah, he did the artwork for it.
Yep.
And again, I commissioned this around the time I was still playing Nadu, so I'm like, oh, Chain of
Yeah.
Vapor's good. So this card's great.
Yeah.
Um, and then he showed me the finished product, and he's like, okay, now you pay. And I'm like, that's like a year of like
Yeah.
holding, like the opportunity cost is huge for the
Yep.
artists to kind of hold that potentially profit generating item for them for so long.
Sure.
But it's like 50-50. Half are like, hey, just pay when it's complete,
Yep.
and
I
then
mean, dude,
half
I
are
think
pay
that's
up front.
like one of the incredible things about Magic in general is like the passion. There's so much passion towards the art because it was so kind of genre defining, I think, for TCGs in general to have such
Yeah.
incredible art done on the cards. And so I think both the artists and the players seem to care a lot about it, which I think is awesome.
There's a really good community of trust. There's an art show in Reading, Pennsylvania. It's called IX, right? Imaginative Reality,
Yeah.
Luxicon. It's the largest gathering of like incredibly talented fantasy artists, most of whom are magic artists. And it's a
Awesome.
gallery show, so they're showing and selling original work. There's judges that are assessing their work, right? There's like best in show
Yep.
sort of accolades associated with it. But
Yep.
realistically, you just go there and meet the artists, and like a lot of artists that don't go to like Magic cons or SCG cons, you will see there, like Mark Zug being a big one, right? The
Yeah.
guy that did Gaia's Cradle, you can't find him anywhere other than a Luxicon, which is hilarious, right? Um, but like while I was there, they had like a special showing because they had a theater in the this kind of exhibition area called
Okay.
Goggleworks Center. There's a theater there, and they were doing like a preliminary showing of a documentary on like the history of magic called Igniting the Spark.
Yep.
And there's a whole like 20 minutes of that dedicated to artists and the
Yeah.
art scene. And like the whole way that Artist Proof started, for what it's worth, because this is
Yeah.
kind of an interesting bit of history, was like Jesper Meerforce, the guy that did Tropical Island Tundra, one of the original
Yeah.
Magic artists, was also the original art director for the game.
Okay.
And he was the one that set the precedent that artists retain a lot of rights to the art they provide so that they can still have these opportunities to sell their art,
Yep.
sleeves, deck boxes, etc. But also, he started the precedent of, hey, like when you complete work for us, you get proof of that work. And that's
Yep.
a physical 50 copies. And this is another kind of important thing that I think
Yeah.
I'm glad that we can cover here.
Yep.
You get 50 copies of usually each proof of each printing of your card.
Okay.
So for instance, the original duels, right? Or maybe that's a bad example, but your Voice of Victory, right? So
Yeah.
Voice of Victory, there's the showcase art.
Yep.
Kevin Glint got 50 copies of that,
Yep.
foil and non-foil. So there's a 50 foil copies, 50 non-foil copies.
Yep.
Jesper Meerforce started that as a way for artists to not only get proof of work, but also have like, hey, fantasy art was kind of taboo and kind of weird
Yeah.
prior to the 90s, right? Like he kind of had like Frazetta and like the Hildebrands that were like breaking kind of mold in that space. But
Yep.
realistically, and I think if you I've talked to some artists about it, and there's some good interviews where they say, like, yeah, back in the day, we were like a failed artist if you did fantasy artwork. It was like really taboo and niche. And
Yeah.
Magic sort of broke the mold of like, no, this is like mainstream. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is a very valid form of expression and like a really distinct aesthetic that we should champion, right?
Yep.
So Just Premier Force really set this great precedent for Magic and other card games, including Sorcery, which does proofs as well for what it's worth. And Flesh and
Exactly.
Blood also does proofs. And they use a
Yeah.
lot of the same artists that Magic does. And the theory is, hey, like you get 50 business cards, right? Because that's basically
Yeah.
what the cards were
Sure.
that you can use to kind of showcase your portfolio and your bona
Yep.
fides. And it
Yep.
just converted from that to like, oh, these are mini canvases and like highly collectible items.
Yeah.
But typically for proofs, like again, if you could imagine pulling that a card in a collector booster pack
Yep.
by today's standards,
Yep.
and it would be like a guaranteed type of a card you could pull. There's 50 copies of that for each variation that artists get. And when a set is reprinted with new, but the artwork is reused, they get 50 new proofs, but with the new set symbol,
Yep.
right? So cards like Lotus Petal, good example. I know the proof is
Yeah.
unobtainable, but every time, in theory, that Lotus Petal is reprinted, April Lee should get 50 copies of
Yep.
that new printing, right? So for a lot of those artists that sort of showcase all this lovely artwork, right? That precedent was started 30 years
Yeah.
ago by Just Premier Force, which
That's
is
so
kind of
cool,
neat.
man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm glad we touched on the 50 card th or 50 copy thing because like especially and this kind of segues into the lane conversation. I was going to ask like do you find that most of the people in the proof community is it like very commander and cEDH centric or does it
No,
cover like many formats? Okay.
it's not even
Uh,
format centric.
Interesting. Okay.
No,
Because
it,
the reason
it's
I thought of this was like if you're just getting into APs and you play a very popular card or commander that hasn't seen a ton of reprints, like you might have a bad time. Um,
yeah, that is a risky run, right?
yep.
Like the intersection, and I see it growing, which is like the whole reason we're doing this video,
Yeah.
right? Is
Yeah.
I think there's a direct correlation between me posting proofs and
Yeah.
the crit Discord and the how large the artist proof or how many new members are joining
Yeah,
the
dude,
artist proof
there's more of
Discord
us every day.
concurrently, right? So
Yeah.
the intersection between established like in particular commander players
Yep.
who and the artist proof scene, that intersection is growing
Yep.
on a daily basis, right? And it's never going to constitute the majority of folks in the artist proof scene, but it's
Yep.
growing very fast because, well, and this is what makes cEDH so great, right? In a lot of ways, right? Like it's a format that again is informed by casual commander in the sense that there's this element of self-expression, but
Yep.
also cEDH as a kind of grassroots format established a precedent that like,
Yep.
hey, this is basically singleton vintage. It has to
Yep.
be proxy friendly in order for the format to grow,
Yep.
right? Like that's the only way that a format like this has any opportunity for reasonable player growth is to embrace proxies.
Yep.
So non-tournament legal proxies include proofs.
Yeah.
So there's a great
Yeah.
opportunity if you're a cEDH player in particular to
Yep.
buy proofs and still play with them, which you don't get in any other Magic format. So
Yep.
to your original question, right? A lot of folks in the proof community are just fans of the art. They're
Yep.
people that maybe play casually or play like 60 card, but they're
Yep.
not buying proofs to support the format that they play. They're buying
Yep.
proofs to support the artists and because they love art and they love collecting
Sure.
art and they love collecting in particular proofs of this game that's like very important to them. So
Yep.
a lot of it's just non-format players that just want to collect pretty cards, right? I
Very
think
cool. Yeah.
only now we're seeing sort of
Yep.
this growing intersection of, in particular cEDH and Commander players
Yep.
now wanting to use proofs as an avenue for
Yep.
blinging their decks. And certainly there are cards that are higher in demand regardless. And
Yep.
iconic commanders are at the top of that list. So
Yeah.
it's not uncommon to see like if you're buying a Timna and you want a Timna these days, you're gonna have to go to the secondary market and it will pop up. If you want to buy
Yep.
Chroms, that's what I had to do for Chrom. Like you just have to wait.
Yep.
I think for artist proofs where the artist is probably out or where you can confirm it, which is easy
Yep.
enough to do either through the artist or through the artist proof community. The best option is to check the Facebook groups for artist
Yep.
proofs and the AP Discord.
Okay.
And a lot of people that sell artist proofs secondhand, and again, this gets back to the previous
Yeah.
conversation. What's the third way that you can buy artist proofs if not
Yep.
from artists or the agents, it's through the secondary market.
Yep.
And most folks that sell through the secondary market are not trying to price gouge you,
Yep.
especially if they're more modern proofs. A lot of folks that are selling their artist proofs in Facebook or on the artist proof market page or Discord form are usually selling at cost, if
Yep.
not maybe slightly below cost, or maybe slightly above if there's like, hey, the artist is out. I'm going to put a little, like a slight
Yeah.
reasonable premium on this. But like if you see someone trying to sell a blank Crom artist proof, which
Yeah.
Aaron Miller has been out of Croms longer than Winona Nelson has been out of Timnas, which is
Yeah.
hilarious to think about.
That is really
But
funny.
do not go on a Facebook page and someone says, "Hey, here's a blank Crom like etched foil or Commander 2016. I want $800." Don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
'Cause that's not a realistic price to pay.
Yep.
Um, Eventually someone will either that individual will take that proof off the marketplace or someone else will come along that's like, hey, I'm not really interested in collecting these anymore. And that's
Yep.
oftentimes the case. Like, hey, I had this. I'm
Yep.
not really interested in it. Like, I know it's out of stock. I'm not asking you much more than what I paid for it. So, like,
Yep.
for my AP Crom, like, the way that this had to be obtained was silly. But, like, I had a friend, Tanner, who's great.
Yeah.
He's the same. He's like a photocopy of me down in Florida, and
Cool.
he's trying to proof out his Timna Crom deck. I'm trying to proof out my
Yep.
Timna Thras deck. So we
Yep.
have very similar goals and work together oftentimes to get in contact with artists. But
Yeah.
he has a Crom, and I'm like, hey man, like I'm not on Facebook. You're pretty active. Like be on the lookout for like a reasonable Crom. Like, and I gave him a number. I'm like 350 is like the most I'd be willing to spend. And he's like,
Yep.
hey, someone has like a Crom they're selling for 250, but there's a catch. I'm like, what's the catch? He's like, I want the serial number that Aaron Miller put on that Crom, even though mine's already painted. I'm like, okay, how are you going to do that? He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to see Aaron Miller in Orlando. I'm going to have Aaron Miller use acetone and switch the serial numbers. And then you can have like the Crom
That's
that has like the
hilarious.
serial
Yeah.
number. And I'm like, all right. So it was like perfectly reasonable. Like
Yep.
it was sold at cost. Someone just wanted like 250 for it. I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty reasonable for a sold out Crom.
Yep.
So for a lot of folks that are trying to like buy your commanders, especially like like in demand like partner cEDH commanders,
Yep.
I wouldn't fret. Like patience will pay off because
Yep.
enough of these proofs do change hands because the demand for them is there. And
Yep.
there are enough people that are willing to part with theirs, even though they're in limited quantity, where if you're just patient
Yep.
enough, something will pop up.
Yep.
That's how it worked for me with Thrasios. I got very lucky with my Thrasios. There's a story there. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, so here's one. So Jasu Hernes, who did and I may be pronouncing his last name wrong, he did the
Yep.
original Commander 2016 Thrasios.
Okay.
Thrasios also has like the tragedy that the new artwork done by Carolyn Gariba, she's just
Yeah.
not selling her proofs. It is the lowest
I was gonna
priority.
ask. Yeah.
It is the
Yeah.
lowest priority thing for her. If she
Yep.
does sell her proofs, it will be through Mountain Mage because
Okay.
he handles her signing windows.
Got
But
it.
as far as I'm aware, she's just not interested in selling proofs right now. It may change. I don't
Hmm.
know. But for whatever reason, Jasu never got etched foil proofs for the reprint of Thrasios.
Yeah.
Every other Commander 2016
Yeah.
artist got their etched proofs in addition to the Commander 2016 proofs.
Sure.
And then interestingly enough, when you look at like Thrasios proofs that have sold on the secondary market, he doesn't serialize every one. For the ones that he has serialized, they were serialized out of 30.
Interesting.
And this is weird. So again, 50
Yeah.
is the norm today.
Yep.
Many moons ago, when they first started introducing foil artist proofs, the numbers were either 30 or all over the place.
Sure.
So for a while, it was only 50 non-foil, 30 foils. And then in some cases, especially with Commander 2016, the numbers were crazy. Like Winona Nelson, I think, and Crom, they're serialized both out of like 60 something.
Okay.
So it's like
Interesting.
slightly more. In the case
Yep.
of, if this is the case, in the case of Thrasios, there's probably only 30
Yep.
of like the Jasu Thrasios, which is like this one right here.
Yeah.
Um, but
So good, dude.
it's so good. But like the story behind this was Jasu had like he came up for MagicCon Vegas again just after the bannings in October,
Yep.
right? Or I guess just before it, right? Yeah, MagicCon happened like August before it, I guess. But Mark Aronowitz is his agent, and Mark said, "Hey, Jasu only has like two Thrasioses left. Like they're $250 each, $500 for a painting."
Yeah.
Someone bought those already, bought them out.
Yeah.
They went to one person. This individual tried to sell them in the AP Discord, and their initial going price was $2,000. And I said, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Someone else bought that artist proof because I recognize the signature and the exact art.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like November of last year.
Yep.
This individual posted in the artist proof Discord, like, I played these commanders. I need the money. I need to liquidate. He
Yep.
was charging like $1,000.
Yep.
And I'm like, I know what you paid for that.
Yep.
So like I bought it and like reasonably $750 is what I would have had to have paid for Thrasios as the last
Yep.
version that was available plus a painting. So the
Yep.
premium of 250 is like not unreasonable to be
Sure.
honest, especially if it's painted. So like you'll if you're patient, like you can find those
Yeah.
little opportunities where they pop up.
Yep.
You just have to keep an eye on the Facebook page, keep an eye on the Artist Proof Discord. But
Yep.
I will say, Dargo proofs are still available from Zoltan
Yep.
Boros. Chris Rallis still has a couple Rayans.
Okay.
Uh, they're only sold with oil painted commissions though, so keep that in mind. Trying to think, Bruce Tarl proofs are still available from
Okay.
Anthony
Sick.
Palumbo. Anthony Palumbo, by the way, is Winona Nelson's husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So it's great because Mad Farm, I guess, right, was Timna
Yeah,
Bruce.
sure.
Now that's, they're married in real life, which is hilarious.
That's
They both did
actually,
the proofs for those cards. One of my
yeah.
buddies, again, Tanner, you know that classic painting of like the farmer with the pitchfork and
Yeah.
his wife? He's getting Winona because he has a second Timna proof, and
Yep.
Anthony, he's doing a side-by-side painting that they're working together
So
where,
cool.
where Bruce is going to be painted on one half as like the
Yep.
farmer holding the pitchfork, and Timna's going to be on the other
Dude,
half, and it's going to be two halves of the same painting. Um,
that's awesome.
which is hilarious, right? So you can absolutely still find proofs of the commanders you want. It
Yep.
just sometimes takes patience.
Yep.
And yeah, know if you are playing a really popular commander or like the card art is really popular or the artist is really popular.
Yep.
Sometimes those proofs do go pretty fast.
Yep. That makes sense to me. One question that just came to mind, it's like tangentially related. At the beginning of this, we talked about how UB doesn't have proofs available.
Hmm.
Is it possible for the UB artist to do alters on a card that they had printed UB? Okay, they just can't do, they don't get proofs that they can then
I don't
sell
get
as like
proofs.
licensed. Okay.
Correct. But yeah, if you go and bring like I'm trying to think of a good example. The artist that does Samwise Gamgee, I
Yep.
think is going to be for the Timna Halana players in the room.
Sure. Yeah.
Is going to be I think it's
Jason's
at SC,
listening.
yeah, yeah, he's going to be at SCG Con Richmond. No,
Okay.
maybe it's SCG Con DC, but like he'll sign your Samwise Gamgees, right? Like
Cool.
sometimes that's a really valid like replacement. Like, oh, I can't get a proof of this, so I'll get like a
Yep.
foreign foil and just get it signed. Tyler
Sure.
Jacobson is going to be at SCG Con Richmond, and I have a foil showcase Orcish Bowmasters, and my
Sick.
goal is to just get him to sign that. As much as I hate that card, I have to play it.
I want it. I would
It's one of those
long
cards I
for the
want
day.
banned so I can cut it.
Yes.
You know what
Say,
I
I
mean?
hate it. It's so good. It is broken. It does everything I want my deck to do, but God, it's annoying.
I hate it.
Yep.
My biggest trend with that in a lot of the games I play with it, it's like at some point I'm using Orcish Bowmasters to shoot itself.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
Yep.
like the big play pattern now is like, oh, okay,
Yep.
Orcish Bowmasters mowed down the table. Someone
Yep.
puts a clone on the stack. Hey, do you want to draw off your Ristic? Okay, Orcish
Yep.
Bowmaster.
L-
Go to sleep.
Dude, it's such a stupid card, man.
But I'm gonna get it signed.
Yep.
I'm sure Tyler Jacobson would do an alter of it as well.
Yep.
I'd rather it just get banned and then I
Yeah.
cannot cut that card at
100%. Just be
all.
done.
Yeah. But yeah, those are totally fine. Randy Gallegos did like the serialized, or I think he did. Was it Randy? No, it was Jones DeRoe or Jonas DeRoe who did like Emergent Zone. He
Yep.
did one of the showcase artworks for or not showcase, the serialized artworks for like the Soul Ring, like Lord of
Oh
the
yeah.
Rings cards. And
Yep.
he'll say on his website, like, I'll sign these, just like these are serialized, so like know what you're
Yeah.
getting signed. So that artists are absolutely like at their liberty
Cool.
to sign or alter whatever you want. Usually there's
Cool.
no limitation there.
Dude. Do you find being like who I view is like a very prominent figure in the AP community now? Do you find that you get like
I'd say
Do you have a little bit
I'm
easier?
a prominent figure on the at the intersection of the
Okay,
AP
sure.
community and cEDH.
Um,
I think
do
that's fair.
you, yeah, that seems fair to me. Do you find that like, has the process gotten easier now? Like, do you have like recognition or relationships with artists, or is that something that people develop over time that it becomes easier?
Um, I don't know. I think there are artists who I've worked with for multiple times,
Yep,
and it certainly is nice knowing I've worked with this artist before. I've gotten commissions
yep,
from them before. I'm familiar with their process. This is going to be easy.
yep,
I don't think I've established like as strong of a formal relationship with like any one artist, but
sure,
it's I know the ropes at this point, and I think
yep,
that's like when I get DMs from folks in the AP,
yeah,
both in the AP community, because my reputation there is like amongst the folks in the AP community is like I somehow magically make contact with artists that like everyone struggles to get in contact
yeah,
with. That's
sure,
sort of been like my charm. And like again, having a lane has made that really easy where it's like, okay, I know I want this specific card. So, I
yep,
know to persistently explore every avenue with this artist that's the only one that's done this card. So I get a lot of appreciation in that scene because like,
sure,
how the fuck did you make contact with
yeah,
Greg Hildebrandt's widow? Like, like how did they respond to your emails but not mine?
yeah,
For the CDH Discord, it's like I know the process well enough to point people in the right direction.
yep,
So it's really easy for me. Like if I find a card that I need to like a new card for like Tim the Thras that I need to
yep,
experiment with, I know how to navigate the waters really comfortably more than
yep,
I think I have like a special formal
sure,
relationship with an artist. There are individuals in the AP Discord that have that. So there's
yep,
a guy, and I won't name them in particular, but they
sure,
have like there's an individual that has a very good friendship with Ryan Alexander Lee,
okay,
and Ryan Alexander Lee did like Sidar Kondo, right?
sure,
Partner commander, and he's not an agent, but every time Ryan Alexander Lee is like, hey, I'm cool to sell some artist proofs. This is the gentleman making the group order in the AP Discord on
cool,
behalf of Ryan Alexander Lee.
yep,
And then there's another individual that like exclusively handles like Liz Danforth's proofs. And Liz
got it,
Danforth is like the original artist for Merchant Scroll,
yep,
right? Back in the day. She's done a lot of really cool, sort of iconic art from the mid to late 90s, right?
yep,
So there are individuals that have developed that like really unique, like established relationship or friendship, honestly, most of the time with a particular
yep,
artist. Um, I'm not at that point in part because
sure,
like I'm just sort of trying to navigate my own waters, right?
yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that was there anything? So I know you came into this with like some notes on what you wanted to cover. Was there anything that we haven't gotten to yet, or that has been like kind of front of mind for you that you really want people to know about collecting APs?
Yeah, I'm taking a few looks. Let me see, just to be sure. Ah, okay. This one's actually probably worth noting out. So,
Yeah,
right,
let's do it.
the secondary market is where a lot of folks, back to your point,
Yep,
are going to try to like, if you want your Timnas, you're
yep,
buying it secondhand,
yep,
right? If you want your Croms, you're getting it secondhand at this point.
yep,
I think those are the waters that are probably the riskiest and most dangerous for people that are new to the scene, right? Because when you
yep,
work through agents, when you work through the artists themselves, you know exactly what you're getting. You
yep,
know that the agents in particular are vetted, they're bona fide, and they're really some of them aren't even getting like commissions, to be
yep,
honest, for like handling proof sales. They're just providing a nice service to these artists,
yep.
right? But like a lot of the times there's no risk associated with buying from artists or buying from agents other than USPS like
Sure.
giving you
Yeah.
persistent anxiety. I can tell a story on that
Yeah, please.
recently. But if you're buying secondhand, that's where you're really gonna encounter the biggest risks.
Yep.
So if you go on like eBay or the Facebook Marketplace or Japanese Mercari, because like Japanese Mercari is unfortunately like it's like a eBay light that you
Sure.
make an account for and buy from Japanese sellers, send to a forwarding a company that then forwards it to you. That's where you're going to be most at risk of overpaying. So
Yep.
there are, and this is unfortunate, but it's the same with any community where there's collectibles. Scalping and reselling are big issues.
Yep.
And they are issues that have fractured some of the trust between artists. Someone was
Yep.
recounting in the Artist Proof Discord because this recently happened. Someone shared a proof commission that they had, as though it were like this trophy or grail commission, and then
Yeah.
immediately tried to sell it on Facebook Marketplace for like $3,000. And
Sick.
like I don't feel bad saying that because it was a
Yeah.
Timna. It was a Timna that this
Yep.
individual was like, oh look, I got this lovely painted Timna. Winona did such a good job, and then I messaged
Yeah.
my friend.
Time to flip it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I messaged my friend. I'm like, how much you want to bet that? Because we've seen this individual's behavior before. I'm like, how much you want to bet that like he's just gonna post it on Facebook Marketplace for like $5,000? And it was like 3,000. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
scummy. And that leaves
Yep.
a bad taste in your mouth because like Winona Nelson, like her painted commission prices and the prices of Timna's are known, and the sum total of proof plus painting is
Yeah.
like a third of what he wanted.
Right.
Um, so I was like, yeah, those individuals like ruin the fun because
Yep.
realistically, like most people that collect proofs collect them because they love the art. They have a particular attachment to these characters. And it's just like, well, that's such a shame because, like, someone, and I know a million people in the cEDH community that would have loved a Timna proof
Yep.
directly from Winona and would have loved the opportunity to get it painted. And now that's gone. And realistically, this proof will never end up selling. So it's just, there's this proof that this guy doesn't really want that's just going to sit
Yeah.
in a black hole until someone uninformed purchases it because they don't know any better.
Yep.
So that's a real issue, and there are artists that have dramatically skyrocketed their painted commission slots and the
Yep.
prices to try to ward off scalpers and
Scalpers. Sure.
resellers.
That makes sense.
So like resellers are something to be wary of. There are a couple like infamous eBay stores where like, oh, why does this
Sure.
person have every Chris Rallis proof and every like Simon Dominic
Yeah.
proof? And it's like, oh well, or every Darkin proof. Oh, it's like, oh,
Sure.
because they bought out their inventory, and now are trying to sell it at like 5 or 6x. So
Yeah.
that's something to be cognizant of. Like, be wary of scalpers. If you're not confident that like the asking price someone wants is like reasonable and like it, which is fair, because like the market for artist proofs, like it's so tough sometimes to
Sure.
assess like what's the market value of this. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you can go and look at the history of maybe what past proofs have sold for, and that can be somewhat informative. You can
Yep.
look at like, well, this is what this artist would charge for like a painted commission, so I know that at minimum it needs to be worth this much.
Yep.
But realistically, a lot of like proof pricing is intuition. Like you just
Sure.
develop that gut feeling like, I think this is what it's worth.
Yeah.
But like if you're new to the scene and you haven't developed that intuition or you don't know any better, like go to the artist proof Discord community, go
Yep.
to people that are established and be like, is this really what I should be paying for this? And people will tell
Yep.
you, it's not unreasonable, or like, no,
Yep.
that's like very clearly like a reseller. Like please stay
Yep.
away from that. So that's a big point of caution is if you're buying on the secondary market, please be wary of resellers. If
Yep.
you're if the price that's being asked looks egregious,
Yep.
probably is.
Yep.
Use the resources, the AP Discord, the Facebook group, like message me even
Yeah.
in Discord, and like I will tell you whether that's reasonable or not, right? And then there are issues historically, not as much today, but artists have had their proofs stolen.
Sure.
And there's a couple notorious examples of this. Dan Frazier had pretty much all but like a handful of his original Mox Diamond proofs stolen,
Yep.
which is
That
wild.
sucks. Yeah.
Rob Alexander had like a binder of his proofs stolen like a decade ago. So like a really big practice in the artist proof community is artists when they sell their proofs sign them
Yep.
before money is exchanged. So if you are on like a Facebook market page group or you are buying secondhand, be wary of proofs that don't have signatures on them.
Yep.
I've never seen counterfeit proofs, ironically. I'm sure those
Sure.
exist, but like I've never seen like, oh, there's this massive counterfeiting scam in the AP
Sure.
community. It's really hard to counterfeit
Yeah.
to that degree, right? So I've never run into like issues with, is this authentic?
Mm.
I have seen people be like, is this a real signature? I've seen that
Sure.
pop up a couple times, which like sometimes artists just don't have a consistent signature. Like Jasu, who did Thrasios, has like three different signature
Sure.
variants for some reason.
Yeah.
Um, but if you see an artist proof for sale and there's no signature on it, be skeptical.
Okay.
There are
Sure.
instances where artists just like sometimes don't sign proofs. Like a good example, Princess Hadir, that's her name. She did the
Yeah.
Seedborn Muse promo for
Okay.
the
Yeah.
secret layer, like the secret layer bonus, and she did Chrome Mox for Aether Drift.
Yep.
She's awesome. She's a really cool artist out in Germany.
Yep.
For a while, she didn't sell her proofs with signatures, but she would sell them with sketches on the back with like a pencil signature on the back.
Okay,
So like
cool.
if you see art on the back by the artist,
Yeah.
if it doesn't have a signature on the front, like you probably don't have to worry much there.
Yep.
But if you see like a blank proof without a signature, just exercise a little bit of caution, be skeptical.
Yep.
There are known stolen proofs in the community, so there's a
Yep.
fair chance that if you see, again, there's one big exception to this rule recently. If you do see unsigned proofs in the there is a non-trivial chance they're stolen.
Okay.
So that's another thing to be aware of. The one exception to this rule is the Hildebrands. So Greg and Tim Hildebrandt, iconic artists,
Yep.
they've long since passed away. Tim Hildebrandt passed away, I want to say in like 2007, 2008, and
Okay.
Greg Hildebrandt passed away in 2024.
Yep.
And like one of my greatest successes is like I traded someone for a foil Force of Negation signed by Greg Hildebrandt, that
Yeah.
proof. And I traded an Academy Rector proof for that, which is the only reserve list proof I've ever owned.
Yep.
But the Hildebrands, since they're deceased, and this is the
Yep.
case for all deceased artists, their proofs, if their art is ever used in a future set, goes to the estate.
Okay. Yep.
So in the case of Greg Hildebrandt, the Spiderweb Art Gallery is owned by um, Greg's widow.
Okay.
And she gets all the proofs every time there's new Hildebrandt artwork that is, or not new, but reused Hildebrandt artwork in the
Sure.
future. Same with Christopher Rush. Whenever Christopher Rush has artwork that is reused in a future set, this was like more of a case for Modern Mystery Boosters 2.
Yep.
His daughter Sierra gets the proofs.
Got it.
So like the Hildebrandt proofs in particular, and this was another like mild success story.
Yeah.
Greg Hildebrandt did, and Tim Hildebrandt, Tim in particular, did the original Cabal ritual and
Sure.
did the original brain freeze. So the big
Okay.
success was finally me and a couple other individuals finally were able to break through to Greg's widow very respectfully,
Yeah.
and she started selling their proofs.
Yeah.
So they're not signed, but they're sold directly from the widow of Greg Hildebrandt, and
Yeah.
that was a really big breakthrough because the brain freeze artist proofs that have been around since, or his art hasn't been reused with the exception of the white borders and Mystery Boosters too. So
Yep.
like these are unsigned,
Yeah.
but they're real
Sick.
brain freeze proofs, right?
Yep.
So like which is insane, and I have some ideas for these, but
Yeah.
um, the Hildebrandt proofs and a lot of proofs that like Sierra Rush has that are like her father's proofs. It's very common to see those unsigned, and those are probably not stolen. They're not inauthentic, right? The
Sure.
artists have long passed away, so that's
Yep.
like the one exception. But it's kind of cool, right? Like
That's sick. Yeah.
what I'm gonna do with these is I'm gonna get other artists to do commission, like
I was gonna ask.
tribute
Yeah.
commissions on the back. I just have to figure out like who I want to go
Yeah.
with for those.
That's
This is fun.
interesting. Yeah, but dude, what a fun, like, long running project to be able to just like, I mean, long running in theory, right? I know myself well enough to know that 6 months would go by and all of a sudden I've spent an ungodly amount of money on finding everything. But
Yeah. If you have a lane, it makes it a little bit easier,
sure.
right? And like, especially if you're new to it, just start by trying to get proofs of your commanders. Like
Yep.
that's a fun enough journey.
Yep.
And like for some of the commanders, like that'll be expensive enough on its own. But
Yep.
now when you sit down at like a competitive event, right, you show up with your slab proof commanders
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
there's what's a bigger flex than being like, oh, here's like my painted Crom and like my painted Timna. I'm not even
Yeah.
playing with them right side up. Here's just the miniature artwork that is
Yep.
staring in front of you, right? Like that's
Dude, it
great.
oh, it's so funny. Jason has a sick Underworld Breach proof.
Yeah.
But he plays with it with the art hidden. And he's like, I don't want anyone to know like that as I'm outing to all the people who watch our videos. But he's like,
Well,
if you know, you know.
Jason messaged me about that
Yeah.
Underworld Breach. Like we're trying to find an Underworld Breach proof, and I'm glad he did.
Dude, it turned out so well. That one it's awesome.
Well, the artist, I go to like my cabinet over here.
Yeah.
Uh, Here it is. Well, the artist Lee Szechuan, he got a new round of proofs from Mystery Boosters 2. So if you're
Sure.
not disgusted by the future sight frame, which I'm not, I'm a
Yeah.
big future sight frame enjoyer. Like he has
Yep.
these, he has these available.
Dude,
You
that's
you can
crazy.
get them, and they're honestly not that expensive. His rates are
Yeah.
really good. A lot of He's out in Indonesia, and
Okay.
like this is just like I haven't collected proofs for like decades, like some people have. There's an
Yeah.
individual that I'm buying a Golos proof from,
Sick.
where like I asked like, oh, do you like? He's like, oh, I have like 10,000 proofs. Like, if you need anything else, just ask me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck. But like, but like, so there are people that
Yeah.
have been around a lot longer and like have
Sure.
like BCW boxes of proofs that they've collected. But like my observation, a lot of, and again, this is, I don't know if this is just regional norms, etc. A lot of Indonesian and Malaysian artists have like some of the most like accommodating and like awesome
Yep.
pricing you've seen. Like I want to say that like this breach maybe because it's an artist choice color sketch on the back. I
Yep.
want to say before shipping and shipping's expensive because of Indonesia. I
Sure.
want to say this was like maybe 160, 170
Yeah, that even
for
because
like the
the
best card in the format, right?
yeah,
Like
we take that. I
it's
think
kind of
because the
neat.
voice artist is also in Malaysia, I
Yeah, his
think,
rates are
right?
super pretty reasonable
Yeah,
too,
they weren't bad at all.
which is kind of
Um,
neat.
dude, I was selfishly gonna add, I don't know if you have the Breeze collar with you, but that was
I
one
do.
that I was would love for you. Dude, yeah.
So
This
yeah,
thing's
this is the
crazy.
crown. This is the crown jewel. I'll
Yeah.
take it out. So that is Rebecca Gay's acrylic painting
Yep.
on the back, and this is like it's in a sealable inner, and then it's
Okay.
triple
Yep.
sleeve. My deck is triple sleeved, so as it
Yep.
should be.
Indeed.
But yeah, the story behind this, and I guess this is a good note to end on, right?
Yeah.
So Rebecca Gay is, as far as artists that have like a cult following to them,
Yeah.
none might be more iconic than Rebecca, right? Her
Yep.
work is super distinct. Probably as far as like early artists go, it's probably her and Therese Nielsen that are like two of the most iconic like woman artists in the
Yep.
game, right? Especially with a long-standing presence since like the
Yep.
90s, right? So her work really sought after, beautiful. Even like her worst, like, and I say worst cards as in like the cards themselves aren't
Sure.
good, command massive collector premiums on the
Yep.
secondary market for proofs because that's just how beautiful and lovely her work is.
Yep.
So, January, February 2025 rolls around and
Yep.
some weirdo in the Rogthrast Discord, I know he's not a weirdo,
Yeah.
realized, oh, Talongates and Gaia's Cradle in this are kind of sick. And I'm
Yeah.
like, right, this combo is kind of sick. It doesn't need to just be in this deck. So I played
Yep.
in Timnathras because it doesn't cost me anything. It's
Right.
like, yeah, it's like, oh, I already play Talon Gates. I was already playing Talon Gates because I played Nadu and it's a pet card. I'm like, I already played
Yep.
Crop Rot and I'll play Talon Gates. That card's great. And I'm like,
Sure.
oh, I'll cut my Bloom Tender for an Aboro. That's easy. But I
Yep.
love that combo and I love Aboro Breeze Caller. And I'm like, I wonder if Rebecca has any of these.
Yep.
So I originally reached out to, she has an assistant who's also done art for the game,
Yep.
Deneen. And I
Okay.
said, hey, like, because Rebecca Gay will like guide you through her store to talk to her agent first or her assistant
Yep.
first. And Deneen said like, I can talk to her. Or no, Deneen didn't respond originally, and then I followed
Yep.
up, and I'm like, hey, does she have any of these? And she's like, let me ask. And she's like, you know what? You should just reach out to her directly. Here's Rebecca's personal email. I reach
Yeah.
out to Rebecca, and she's like, again, I had to do this a couple times. This is
Yeah.
like, how do I reach out to artists that are hard to reach out to? I persist. But
Indeed.
like,
Yeah.
I after a couple follow-ups, she's like, I don't think I have any of those.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. And I'm like, there's no fucking way anyone wanted
Yeah.
this proof until like January, February
Yeah.
2025. There's no way. So I reach out to Donnie in the artist proof community, and I'm like, "Hey, Donnie, you know the major collectors and are more enfranchised in this than I am. Like, has anyone ever seen a Boro Breeze collar proof in the wild?"
Yeah.
And he says, "I know a couple dedicated Rebecca Gay collectors. Let me reach out to them." And I'm like, look, and I'm like, by the way, like you can communicate to these individuals, like, I'll pay a premium. I get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, they don't own one. They've never seen one. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, they exist. They're probably just buried in someone's collection. I'm like, all 50 of them? All
Yeah.
50? Really? Um, One of my buddies goes to MagicCon. I think it was MagicCon at Vegas, which was the
Yeah.
first like MagicCon she did in like a decade.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey man, she doesn't have breeze collar proof. So I just want to let you know, like I checked in person. And I'm like, that's okay, man. Like, I'll just get a foreign foil, like a Japanese foil from Doot Loot, and that will
Yeah.
like scratch the itch,
Yep.
which is what I did. So now I have a Japanese foil, and I guess
Yep.
it's available for trade or sale. But I went to I eventually I just sort of like assume I'm never gonna own a breeze collar proof. I
Yep.
reach back out to my buddy who goes to MagicCon Atlanta, and he says,
Yep.
"Hey, weird thing. Rebecca is perturbed by the amount of people that want their breeze collar signed and uh, told me she was going to take a second look at her old proof inventories, like stand by.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, okay. She went to some event out in Europe the same year. She
Okay.
basically did three events. It was like Vegas, Atlanta,
Yep.
and then some event in Europe. And my buddy's like, hey man, I got the scoop. She found her breeze collar proofs. They exist. He's like, you keep this on the down low. It's not a
Yeah.
down low thing anymore. But I
Yep.
reached back out to her and I'm like, hey, I heard you may have found your breeze collar proofs. And she's like,
Yeah.
I did. I'm not selling them at the first thing she stressed was like, they're not available in foil. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, I know they're not available in foil. But
Yep.
originally she never took the time to look for them at Vegas because she just assumed people didn't want non-foil proofs,
Yep.
which is interesting. But she's like, I have them. They're not available in foil. I'm doing painted commission only. This is around September. She's
Yep.
like, I'm not open right now. Come back, reach out in a month. Reach out in
Yep.
October. Again, I have to try a couple times.
Yeah.
She's like, still not open. Reach back out in November. Reach back out in November. She's like, hey, I haven't forgotten. I think I might find a window January, February timeframe.
Yep.
And she's like, I reached back out January. She's like, gonna have to check back in after the new year. I'm like,
Fuck. Yeah.
finally, reach out in January again. This is like
Yep.
again since like from whatever February all the way to basically January of this past year.
Yeah.
And she's like, random email in the middle of January. Hey, I have an opportunity this weekend. Here's my PayPal information. Give me the down payment, and then I'll let you know like Saturday if it's done. And then like
Yep.
48 hours later, she sent me a preview of the painted proof, and I'm like, all right, well, there's this giant winter apocalyptic storm that's hitting the southeast. Let's please
Yeah.
ship this overnight so it gets here before Pennsylvania gets absolutely slammed with,
Yep.
which is where I'm at, like Harrisburg area, like gets slammed with like a foot of snow.
Yep.
And I wait and agonize over how long this will take. So she did send it overnight.
Yep.
Unfortunately, and I learned this the hard way now, all of FedEx's overnight stuff, and now I've learned that overnight's a scam. You learn the hard way.
Yep.
Goes through Memphis, and no one city was hit more by the snowstorm than
Then
Memphis.
Memphis.
So I
Yep.
was painfully waiting like a week while it was
Yep.
just stuck in Memphis. And I'm like, this is agonizing.
Yeah.
But it finally arrived, and I'm like, thank God, thank God. So there was a lot of stress
Yep.
and almost a year's worth of like effort that went into that. And to my knowledge, there's one person that owns a Blankaboro Breeze collar proof. It
Yep.
must have been like the only one she sold at like whatever the European event she was at was. But
Yep.
to my knowledge, I'm the only one that has a painted Aboro Breeze collar proof. And like
Amazing.
getting her to do painted commissions at all is like good luck because magic is
Yep.
not her priority. She is a gallery artist now,
Yep.
right? So like it was literally like I have to find a window and I will let you know if that window's now. Like
Yeah.
that
And
was the Breeze collar story. It's it was a
dude,
crazy stressful endeavor, but it's probably the single coolest proof I own.
oh, it's one of the cool like it's been funny to just watch that card go to I think it's like $600 in foil now or something like that. It's
Is it
like apps.
really
Yeah.
like the
It's
English foil?
the English foil, I think I don't know, let's just check because I'm
That
curious.
I
I bought
can't.
mine at I think 200, which even that I was like this is crazy.
I got my
Um
English foil for $10 from Card Trader a weekend
Jesus
after the
Christ.
combo was discovered. So I still have that sitting around somewhere.
Let's see. In foil, there's okay, it's gone down slightly. The cheapest moderately played one on TCG Player is 345.
That's insane. Well, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know what I'm gonna SCG Con Richmond. I have two goals. I got to get Rob's dual land artist proofs, but I'm
Yep.
gonna try to trade in for a Judge promo survival. And
Did
I have a actual signed Survival of the Fittest that I've
oh
had forever.
sick.
So I'm gonna
Yep.
trade that in as part of towards the
Yep.
Judge promo. But yeah, screw my English foil of Royal Breeze Scholar Proof.
Yeah, dude, you don't need
Done.
it.
I don't need it. Yeah. So
I
okay, that's really good to know.
Yeah, dude, they went to the moon. I think you'll
Free.
appreciate this uh, as a last aside, just on
Yeah.
the rarity of collecting stuff. Um, Dude, unfortunately, is someone I spend a lot of time and money with now, at
Yeah.
least corresponding about
It's
various
all good.
things. And fortunately, he's fucking awesome. But
He's the man. Yeah.
he got the playset of Russian foil devoted druids from the one guy who had the known playset of
Like
them.
the one dude in Ukraine that like
Yeah.
has them. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have one on its way now because I was one of the people to get in on the playset. And I don't play that combo, so now I have to. And that is a
I
thing that I've
still,
just
I don't know
accepted.
why you, I don't know why you wouldn't, man. If
It's
you're going Cradle Farm, I get it, but like, don't you just want access to it anyway? Like,
I do because, and now we're gonna have a fucking TNT mini episode. I do want
that's fine.
access to it because the thing I love about Cradle Farm is uh, in a deck that kind of gradually wants to accrue board state and presence anyway. It kind of
Yeah.
naturally transitions into that, like, okay, Cradle combo's available.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need to be able to turn the corner faster than that enables you to do.
That's
And
why I always like that's always why I leaned towards the no bad cards version.
yep,
It's like yes, you aren't accruing the critical mass that Cradle Farm does or Rogfrast does, right? Because that,
yep,
like, Rogfrast pods were always a bad matchup for like no bad cards TNT because it
yep,
just feels like you get the early game value down super well, and you just have that consistent chain
yep,
of value that you can access the entire game. But Rogfrast just has that exponential curve that it
right,
follows. And at some point, it hits this critical mass that, even something as good as No Bad Targets TNT just can't keep up with.
yep,
But I do like the idea of like, it's so compact, and
yep,
like it's nice just to have like, hey, I mean, a couple months ago, because I'm not playing TNT in the league right now, I'm
yep,
playing like dumb decks right now.
yeah,
But like I like the classic play pattern in the greed maxing meta that we're in, and
yeah,
no, it's the greed
yeah,
maxing meta that is the crit league.
yep,
When a lot of people are greed maxing, like
yep,
I kept hands against like there's a game against Hire where like my literal hand was like I have zero interaction,
yep,
and it's just like land, pitch Spirit Guide, Devoted Druid, pass, land, Eldritch Evolution, Hazel's win. And I'm
yep.
like, surely someone has interaction for this turn two Eldritch Evolution. Everyone's like, oh, I guess I pass. I'm like, all right. That would
Okay,
be
bye. Yep.
bye, yeah. It's like, want to
Well,
run
and
that back?
dude, with Speaker and Eldritch and Survival, and also just Cabbage Merchant and food, like there's so many more reasons to run it now, I think, for me. And I've just been like a stubborn holdout. But
I
yeah,
think
now
there
I
I think like, and I've had this I don't obviously grind events as much as you guys do, but I've had a lot of success with Tim the Thras at like the SCG cons or like in
yep,
particular the play to win events that I go to.
yep,
And like the one thing I've always loved about like people will clown on like Swift Reconfiguration and Hazel's
yep,
Brewmaster. I'm like, these cards are just good.
yeah,
Like you'd be shocked how many games I've ruined, or not ruined, but like how many moments I've ruined for players by casting a Swift Reconfiguration on
yeah,
something other
dude,
than Voted Druid. I was playing against in the Crit League, Sylvie, who won like Fishbowl.
yeah.
Just playing Gwenum for
Yep.
like a little
Oh,
bit.
Swift reconfigured Gwenum,
I don't know.
dude.
I was in fourth seat, and I was
Yep.
like, I'm losing this game. It was like her and
Yep.
Rogsai were both before me. I'm like, this is a draw hand because I know that Rogsai can't stop
Yep.
Swift configuration, and I'm just hoping that Sylvie goes like turn one Gwenum, turn two swing, and
Yep.
she did it the perfect way, which was she used LED dump her hand to play
Yep.
Gwenum, and then I'm like, as I go to combat, Swift offer draw. The Rogsai player is like, yeah, I'd accept that.
Yep.
Like, I'd accept that here. Or like, oh,
Dude.
here's maybe put a curiosity on the stack. I'm like, Swift.
Yep.
So good.
Oh, dude, there was a game that Austin got his Gwenum Swift reconfigured, but then
He
used
had to
his
crew.
what's that?
He had to crew it, right?
Yeah, he made a construct with Urza Saga and then crewed it with the construct.
That's so
Uh,
good.
it's so, dude, it's so funny.
Well, Swift, other uses for it, like again, like mini TNT rant.
Yeah, it's fine.
But like people do, it's another way to win the Orcish Bowmaster sub game.
Yeah,
And I've done that before where they're like, I'm gonna play my own Orcish Bowmasters. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
ETB target. They're like yours. I'm like Swift.
Yeah.
Go away. There was
Yeah.
another game where I forget who I was playing against. I think it was I want to say it was like Wayne in the crit server, right? It was like
Sure.
Zerta.
Yep.
But it was a Zerta player did like Disruptor Flute, or not Disruptor Flute. They did Curse Totem. That's what
Okay.
it was.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't Wayne,
Sure.
but someone did Curse Totem. It wasn't Wayne because Zerta wouldn't play Curse Totem.
Yep.
But someone did like Curse Totem, and their goal was like the screw Thrasios.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Curse Totem's creatures. So
Yeah.
I swifted my
Vehicle.
Thrasios to make it an artifact just so I could continue to
Oh my
activate.
God, dude. That's
Which is like
hilarious.
which is like goofy. So like Swift has all
Yep.
these weird like utility features. Same with Hazel's.
Yep.
Is just graveyard hate. And
Yeah.
there was a game against Matt Hayes in the Discord server, and like
Yep.
my games with Matt, I either draw or lose, and I consider the
Yep.
draw
Every time.
every time I consider the draws against him a win. But
Yep.
like he was trying to, I think it was Flash Speed the Breach combo,
Sure.
and he had a breach that was just stuck on the stack. And I go, all right, I'm gonna do something dumb here, and we'll see what happens. And I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
crack E zone, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, flash in Hazel's Brewmaster, and he's
Yeah.
like, is there devoted in yard? I'm like, no. He's like, okay. I'm like, okay, ETB, I'd like to exile your brain freeze. It's in your
Oh.
yard.
Oh.
It's like, oh yeah, that's a play, isn't it? I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
like Hazel's is sometimes just like it's like Deathrite Shaman. It's like sometimes
Yep.
it just eats good, and
Dude,
relevant graveyard hate.
there that I play Noxious Revival for the same reason. Like, yes, sometimes that card's just good for yourself, but also like my favorite thing to do against a Dargo deck is like, oh, you're Technomancer. That's interesting. Anyway, Noxious, you're Deadpool.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's just over now.
Yeah.
Um, but there was a game a few weeks ago where the table tried to kill me with a Deathrite Shaman because I was at two. And then I proceeded to, in response, activate my own Deathrite Shaman to gain three or
Exile.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. And I was like, yes.
Well, Noxus also screws over Deathrite because Deathrite has to target
Yeah.
as part of the cost. So like there are
Yep.
moments where you can just be like, oh, Deathrite is trying to make mana and like the critical like
Yep.
the crux for where this player is at is they need mana to try to push a win. And you go, I'll
Yep.
just Noxious your land that you're targeting with or
Yep.
Noxusing the land in someone else's graveyard that you're targeting with Deathrite Shaman, and now you
Yep.
just won't make mana.
Yep. Dude, it's something that, God, at some point we're going to end this episode, I promise. But
Oh,
it's
this is
something
great.
that I'm having a great time. It's funny because we talk a lot in DMs, but we don't actually like get to talk to each other that often. So
Yeah,
like
this is great.
um, but something that I've been trying to encourage myself to do and like encourage other players to do, and Jason's phenomenal at this, is like most people have been conditioned to like don't interact with X, interact with the win condition.
Yeah.
But especially with some of these decks that like don't give a flying fuck about what you or the table are doing, it is better to interact with the bottleneck moment and
Yeah.
like trying to stay in tune with what that is with different decks in different situations, I think is something that I'm like really pushing myself to do recently, and it's helped a lot.
But in like Timnathras, like again, at least in my primer, and like I've done well enough with the deck where I feel confident. Like you can use the combo pieces in
Yeah.
weird freaking ways that
Yep.
like are off brand and still do something meaningful.
Yep.
And like again, like devoted and Swift. Part of the reason I love, or the devoted Druid Alliance, part of the reason I love it is like survival is just a good tutor engine.
Sure.
Like it's like the one of the best you could have access to. So there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that. Like nothing wrong with using like the survival is just a way to find other value pieces. That's
Yep.
like a politicking point too, where like I put a survival on the stack and someone's like, "Uh-oh, should we counter this?" I'm like, "Look, if I just agree to never discard Devoted Druid or search for
Yeah.
Brewmaster, is that like cool with everyone?"
Yeah.
Little did they know, like I can discard my Hazels and reanimate it at a later point. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
like I love doing that where it's like, oh, like I can just like, can I just use this as a fair quote?
Yeah.
Fair? And people will do that. It's like, yeah, if you don't discard, if you don't search for devoted Druid Hazels
Yep.
or don't discard Druid,
Yep.
totally fine. And it's like,
Well,
cool. I just have like a perpetual worldly tutor now. This is great.
dude, there was one of the things that Jordan Drake told me when I was first picking up the deck. He's like, it's a deck that really will reward you for time spent on it because you'll notice really weird shit that you can do.
You have
Um,
to use your cards in dumb ways that you don't
yeah,
do in other decks. Like Tim the
yep,
Thrassen's like notorious for like, oh, like that's not a way this card should be used, but like I'm gonna use it
It's
that way.
doing the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Um, yeah, it's funny that like what is, I don't know if you were following the thing on Twitter a week or two ago, but like every creator was doing their top 10 decks, and Max P was the only person who put TNT on his top 10.
Everyone hates TNT. It's great.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And I like even statistically, this is not a vibes thing. This is like tracking my data. It is by far the deck I've performed the best on.
Same.
Even like relative to
I
farm or
I
yeah,
think I don't usually play a lot of other decks, but like TNT is like the deck that I've had the most reps on. It's the deck that I perform the best on in tournaments. And
yep,
like I've tried Brea Blue Farm and I did
yep,
okay with that for the games I ran in the crit server. I just found it very boring.
yep.
I ran Cecily Elmar was the other weird deck that
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
went on a
remember when you were
tear.
putting that
I went
together.
on a
Yeah,
tear in the crit server with that. I think I was
yep,
like briefly in top 16 and then just kept playing, which is my biggest problem.
yep,
But like Cecily Elmar, which is like just Vile Thras without the commander synergies, that
yep,
deck was gas, and like I've
yep.
had fun with that. But you know, I think people kind of now realize that Vile Thras is just Rogsai with green, so
Y-
you have to mulligan the same way you would for
Yeah,
Rogsai.
100%. It's wet Jund, dude. If you give it an inch, it's going to kill you.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Right. But like TNT, just like I don't know, it's fun. Like you don't do anything. I think Chad. I don't know if you're familiar with Chad Hilton. He's or Chad is in the Discord server. He does some
yep.
artwork. He did the artwork for the cookout map.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yep.
Chad is awesome. He's out in the DMV area. We talk a lot. He's an
Yep.
artist for the cEDH scene. But he made a really good comment when I was playing down in like Curio, which like Curio is like Max Pfefferman's LGS
Sure.
down in like DC. I played at an event there over the summer and like Chad, Max, and I were all on TNT.
That's funny.
And like I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. And Chad and I made it to the top four. This
Yeah.
was like a week before the Invitational. I think Max put like a very angry post on Twitter about
As he
how he
does. Yeah.
felt after that local game store tournament. But
Yep.
Chad made a really good point about TNT, which was like this is a deck that plays like super fairly, like right
Yeah.
up until the point where it doesn't, and when it
Yep.
does, it plays super unfairly.
Dude, it fits my play style really well, I think is what I've landed on is because like even when I played farm, I've tried to position myself in the same way that Matt does, where I'm like, I'm not here to kill you, I'm here to make sure we don't die together. And TNT is like so good at that because it looks like it's kind of doing nothing, or at least what it is doing is very fair.
Well, and like it's one of those things too, where like one of my buddies like commented this to me like literally today because he was sharing with me the goofy Heartwood storyteller list we saw in the Discord server.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, have you seen this?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I that's a pilot decision and it works for that pilot."
Yep.
But he made a really good comment which was like he said, I want to make sure I have the quote correctly.
Sure.
He said TNT feels like you just build it to match your personal play style rather than play one idea. And
Yeah.
I think that like is like the perfect statement regarding that
Yep.
deck. And what the advantage of that is when people sit down at Timnathras, like and play against Timnathras, like the mind is like, oh, is this Cradle Farm? Is it not
Yep.
Cradle Farm? And like you don't really know unless you play like a turn one like Ocelot Pride. You don't really know
Yeah.
what version of TNT you're playing against. And that
Yep.
was like a big that's a big strength of the deck is like, well, this deck doesn't play Breach, and it
Yeah.
usually doesn't play Necro, and it usually doesn't play Adnaz. So like
Yep.
you don't know how you're dying until you're dead. And
Yep.
until then, it just looks like it's doing like kind of this weird hybrid thing between Kinnan and Blue Farm, where it's like it's drawing cards
Yep.
and making mana and like
Yep.
interacting where it matters. And like it's really tough to gauge until they put like a Grand Abolisher on the stack, like how you're losing. And even
Yep.
then, you don't know how. Like
Well,
it's
and
great.
even if you stop it, right, it's like it's you can't really stop it forever. Like the combos are so layered and the different avenues to get to
Yeah.
infinite mana are so readily accessible for the deck that almost nothing can like completely stop you from winning the game.
Well, and like once you hit that critical density of like resources, like
Yep.
you just jam multiple win attempts in a turn. And like I
Yep.
remember one of the play to win events that I was at. Obviously, Tyler is a member of Monolith.
Yep.
A frequent participant in the play to win events is Tim Sank, who's
Okay.
also a member of Monolith. He's a big blue farm player.
Yep.
I played against him in the play to win event, and he he can recount this better than I can. It was like me, him, I think someone on loot and Atali,
Yeah.
and I got to the critical mass of resources and
Mm.
jammed, I think, four win attempts in one turn. And the
Yep.
fourth one was the charm.
Yep.
it was like, oh, Devoted Swift didn't work. Okay, well, we'll try Meme Bet. Okay, that didn't work. We'll do
Yep.
Kin and Basalt. Oh, that didn't work. It's like, okay, well, we'll do Reanimate. I think it was like I did Reanimate Devoted Druid, like Ewit back the Swift, and
Sure. Yeah.
try again. And it was like I just had so much mana, it was
Yep.
stupid. And I think in that game I oppoed the loot player's Cloud of Fairies. So
That's hot.
I
Yeah.
was like, or no, I oppoed their Neo form and took their Cloud of Fairies.
Okay,
And
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, now Gaia's Crater will tap for 1 billion. And then one of
Yep.
the ways I was able to just keep jamming was like, I'll just like Mockingbird the Cloud of Fairies. Like I don't Cradle
Yep.
Farm, but I'll do it this time, I guess.
Dude.
It was
Yeah, the
hilarious.
one of my favorite things now is Mockingbird and Earthbent Land, and then you can return
Yeah, the
Mockingbird to your
Talon
hand
Gate
with
stuff.
Breeze Caller, and
Yeah,
then yeah, it's so
keep
stupid, dude.
floating.
It's
It's
yeah, it's
it's
so
fun.
dumb.
The deck is so good. It's so fun. People can hate on it. That's the best
Yep.
part. Is every time like, and it's nothing against the Mind Sculptors podcast, but like every time I
Yeah.
watch the Sculptors podcast, I'm like, I wonder how much hate TNT is going to get
Yep.
this month. And it's like, oh yeah, everyone still hates this deck except me, I guess.
Yep.
Like,
It's fun because like Austin loved the deck. He did really well with it, and so he's like really excited that I picked it up as well.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been great. I don't for the first time in a long time, I actually have like no desire to try anything else, which is not usually my experience of playing decks.
Every time I try something else, my reaction is like, let's just go back and play TNT. What am I
Yep,
doing?
please.
Like
Um,
I get off it for a week. I'm like, why did I do this to
yeah,
myself?
yeah, I think a lot of people have that experience with Farm, which is not my experience with that deck. I pick it up and I'll play it and I'm like, yeah, this is broken, but it's not fun.
So boring.
Yeah. And TNT does almost all the same shit, just like it doesn't
But it
have
feels
breach.
fun because it's not
Yeah.
linear. Like
Yep, exactly.
it's like, oh, I'm not mo like I don't know how I'm winning the game when
Yep.
when I have my opening hand. I'm like, does
Yep.
this hand make mana and draw cards? Okay, cool. I'll figure out how I'm winning later, and that's like fun. That's a really
Dude,
interesting play pattern.
yeah, I put Springheart on Esper Sentinel, and by the end of the turn, I had four Sentinels, and then I was
Feels
like
good.
Delny. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw 12 cards anytime you do anything. Like, good
Oh,
luck, bud.
you gotta get Delny artist proof, man. The artist Jack Hughes still has them. Hold on, let
Oh,
me find.
really?
Yeah, like this is like I have a binder of like cards that I consider for TNT that I own
Sure.
proofs of, but like this is the Delny proof.
Oh, that's sick.
And for he still has them in stock, but what I asked him
Yep.
to do was I gave him a pose from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think I gave him
Yeah,
like Joylene Joestar, and that was his sketch on the back.
that's so sick.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you could get your Delny, man.
I
Jack Hughes still has them, and he has a personal website, so you just go to his store website and buy your
damn.
proof of your commission slot.
It's funny because I actually have like an alter idea for the deck where I was gonna do Thrasios as Uzui Tengen from Demon Slayer,
Hell
and
yeah!
then Timna, Noble Hierarch, and Delny as his three wives,
Oh, that's good. That's
which I
great.
thought was kind of fun. But now that I know there's proofs for Delny, because
Yeah,
I know
Delny
she's
proofs are
slow, but God, that card's crazy.
no like Delny. I'm not running Delny now. I have in the past. The first physical tournament I played like Delny. The first physical tournament I played TNT at was big. The first annual Baked ZD Open, and
Okay, cool.
I
Yeah.
top 16 there. That was the first tournament I played Delny, like Timna at Thrasat, and Delny
Yep.
was like a 24 hours before the tournament change,
Yep.
and it was just gas. And I'm like,
Dude,
it's so good.
it's
Brina's the other card I think about a lot for TNT.
which one?
Brina, the demagogue.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Brina's
Yep.
another card because like I know in Cradle Farm the goal is you maximize the value and synergies both your commanders provide. In my
Yep.
TNT deck, Thrasios is an afterthought, and the deck really tries to prioritize Timna, to
Yep.
be honest. And like Brina's the like ultimate weird Timna
Yeah.
synergy.
God, I'm just gonna read the card because we don't have it up.
Yeah.
Uh, it is Orzhov in 1/3
Yeah.
flyer. Whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than another one of your opponents, the attacking player draws a card and you put 2/1/1 counters on a creature you control. That part actually feels like shockingly relevant.
Shockingly relevant.
Um,
So whenever you attack someone with a higher life total than another one of your opponents, you draw a card.
yep,
Whenever and make put 2+1/+1 counters on things. If an opponent attacks someone other than you, basically, that has
yeah,
higher life total, right?
yep,
They do draw a card, but you still get to pull +1/+1 counters. So you
yep,
can make your Timna attackers bigger. If you
yep,
don't buff Brina, Delny will double those triggers every single time. Um,
Yeah,
and
she
then
will.
and then it gets grosser, right? Like if you just have Devoted Druid in play and you stack all your counters on Devoted Druid, now you can tap untap tap untap a billion times.
Oh, that's funny.
And then if you're going that route, you could
Yeah,
play Kutzel because Kutzel cares about
sure.
modified creatures dealing damage to draw cards.
And is a silence.
And
And
as a
yeah,
silence. And it's green, so you can green suns for it, and it's uncounterable with Delighted Halfling because it's a legendary. So like that's a weird, like dumb
yeah,
tunic energy like that I've thought about leaning into is like, ooh,
interesting.
Brina's sick. Brina's low-key sick.
Dude, I mean, that's like, I mean, we already talked about it. I think this is the note I'm going to force myself to end on because I got to
You're
go
good, man.
lose to Jason at locals.
Go for it, man.
Is I love decks, and we started this conversation talking about how Commander is this format that's like so centered on self-expression and cEDH, like finding ways to do that. And something I love about this deck is it's just like your buddy said, take yourself as a player and select the combination of cards that you would like to do to express that. Because you can't do that with farm really. You get like 5 cards, maybe.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, am I playing the treasure variant? Ooh,
Yeah,
guess we'll play
yeah.
Knuckles.
You got Knuckles and farm is actually kind of gas. Um, but yeah, dude, any parting thoughts for the folks at home?
Oh man, I think we've said everything we need to say.
Yeah,
Go and start your proof journey.
yeah.
Go play TNT. I think that's those are
Indeed.
those are the two biggest takeaways from today.
That's all you need to know, man.
That's
That's
all
all
you
you
need
need
to
to know.
know. Good talking with you
Awesome.
though, man. This was great. This was fun.
Yeah. You too, dude. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Good luck at
All
locals.
right. Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
See you, man.